Welcome back to the channel. This is Trinity Storm and you're watching second part of What If Naruto and Konoha 12 were betrayed by the Leaf. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
Following the loss in the entertainment district, Muzan's stronghold. Muzan scowled. All of the upper moons were visible. How did the demon slayers get away? We had them. Doma replied. Muzan gave a scowl. Muzan sneered, "Shut up, worthless maggot." Abruptly, a demon engulfed in black flames dashed in. Muzan yelled, "Maggot! Get out!" The demon looked up. "The Soul Queen is coming for him and there will be hell to pay," said the demon. Muzan's gaze grew wide. "She's still alive. How?" Muzan pondered. To make sure she would never be born, he had completely destroyed the area surrounding the village. A few people managed to escape, but if he had lived, he would have known. The only person who could destroy the demon's power was her. Muzan parted his lips to say something. The demon suddenly started to burn brighter and brighter. Doma exclaimed, "So pretty." The demon gave Doma a look. He took Doma in his hands. Doma's hand burned from the fire as he jerked away. Doma said, "That hurts so good." Muzan let out a roar. Suddenly, the demon started laughing, saying, "Stay away from him, fools." The Semin exclaimed, "Soul art, evil soul explosion." Flames broke out on his body, burning purple and black. After that, his body was blasted to pieces, shooting flames everywhere. Muzan scampered away from the flames with the upper moons. The Biwa woman was alive but severely burned. Abruptly, a cold laugh began softly and grew louder until it was audible. Muzan gave the floor's burn mark a scowl. It hurt that a few embers had fallen on him. He snarled. "Lord Muzan?" exclaimed Akaza. A female voice was heard speaking. "This is my warning to you. Run. Run to the ends of the world, but I will make you pay for what you did. But until then, I'll leave you with a gift." The voice continued. That voice gave Muzan a shiver. The upper moon one gave him a look. He was aware of who and why. Nor did he give her any flaws. Muzan then experienced a sensation. Muzan cried, "Biwa! Get us out of here!" Out of nowhere, a black mist appeared. Anywhere it touched, it burned. Since he had been closest to the burn marks, Akaza was drawn into it. As his skin was being burned off, Akaza screamed. As he started to melt, Akaza exclaimed, So cold." As he melted, his screams pierced the atmosphere. Muzan scowled. He would regress somewhat, but not significantly. The voice said, "Forbidden hidden Justu, cold acid mist." As it vanished, Muzan heard her strings plucking from the biwa player. The building was melting as they stood outside in the cool night air. That jerk. I am unable to travel past the mountains due to the perpetually blooming wisteria. The walls of the west are made of wisteria, so I am unable to enter. Bogue. Muzan was furious, but he had to hurry to safety. Send the others to their locations. Send me to the Infinity Castle. We have to wait. The civilians hate the Slayers now, but with them gone, we will be a target. Lay low, kill only when needed, and stay out of sight. Muzan yelled. Muzan found herself in the Infinity Castle when the biwa struck her cord. "I'll remain here until the temperature drops. Even if years pass." With hate in his eyes, Muzan spoke. "Today's West." It was in the morning. "Walk to Tsunade, Riska." Riska said, "Tsunade, may I speak with you?" "Yes." "Something the matter?" Tsunade asked while organizing jobs. The group performed odd jobs in order to maintain revenue and avoid using the estate funds. It didn't draw attention from suspicious people and brought in enough cash to keep the camp solvent. "What do the children know of the paranormal world?" Riska inquired. Tsunade gave her a look. Tsunade said, "They know it exists, but that's it." "Why do you ask?" Riska raised her blade. The fabled soul sword was purple with light. Tsunade became pale. Tsunade exclaimed, "Damn. How long before those things get here?" "At least a month. We need to prepare. I guess a crash course is in order." Riska replied. The ladies surveyed the training field. For a month, they had to teach the kids how to battle monsters that had been extinct in the East for centuries. Goblins with horns. Tsunade gave a growl. Damn it. I was hoping for a little bit more time. She replied. Riska gave a nod. I'll get Demi on this right away. The sooner the better. Besides, I think the children need to learn about the paranormal, and at least these are the lowest ones. I've sent for the demon slayers so they'll be able to help. Riska concluded. Tsunade gave a nod. I think I met the master once, a few years ago. And the flame-haired one? Tsunade replied. Riska grinned. Having met Tsunade, Rengoku found her character endearing. Riska hoped that the ninjas would be prepared for battle with the aid of the Hashira and the others. The Warlord. Held village in the east. At night, Muzan strolled through the village. These bastards were all unworthy of his gift. Abruptly, a man brandishing a triple bladed weapon leapt from a bar. The man cried, Damn, Kakuzu, I wanted to kill him. He is worth money only alive. We are breaking rules being here. Go find someone else to kill, Hidan. The man in the mask replied. Hidan began to flow. I must make a sacrifice, or Jashin will become enraged. Hidan pondered. Muzan ogled with delight. Perhaps this is the one I'm searching for. As ruthless as they come. Come with us as we follow him. Muzan pondered. Hidan was marching forward. These wouldn't work at all. Someone capable of putting up a real fight was what he needed. A shiver suddenly went up his spine. A voice said, a real fight. I think I can give you that. Hidan looked over and saw a pale man chatting with him. You, weakling, give me a fight? Ha 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 ha. Alright, you wanna die here, bastard? Come on. Hidan yelled. Muzan grinned. His pink eyes burning, he accepted the bait like a fool. Muzan said. Tell Hidan that this was no ordinary man. No, he was something much more sinister and perilous. That's when Hidan realized there was only one word for his predicament. F at #ked. The Misty Land. Mine was at last over the war. The Mist Village had suffered greatly over the years due to war and loss. By demonstrating compassion for people with and without bloodlines, she had gained the cage seat. She even asserted that a well-trained shinobi is the best shinobi. The war had finally ended, but now the reconstruction could start. The Mist Daimyo had requested supplies from the Land of Iron, so they had sent some. The survivors put forth great effort in rebuilding and repairing. They most definitely did not wish to emulate Konoha. Whispers circulated about that village. Regretfully, Mei enjoyed Tsunade's tenacity. Gazing at her village being rebuilt, she sighed. She wouldn't have to trade with Konoha as much as she had hoped. She got chills from Danzo's Cyclops. A nin popped out from behind a shadow. I have to tell Lord Danzo that he'll be happy. As the ninja ran through the forest, he heard someone blowing a whistle. Abruptly, he felt an arrow pierce his heart. Dead, he collapsed to the ground. A man dressed like a civilian was leaving. While bird hunting, he noticed a figure fleeing. He took his sacred arrow and shot what he believed to be a cursed man, since men did not walk in trees. Now that it was gone, the curse also perished. Not realizing he had stopped a war before it started, the man turned to leave. The seal inside the ninja caused its body to melt away. He forgot to record the information Danzo was looking for. Before long, the nin was reduced to nothing more than a hole in the earth. Danzo had the day off since it was raining in Konoha. To find out who was over the Must Village now and what their skills were, he had sent one of his best. He ought to be back by tomorrow. Danzo was eagerly anticipating his wedding day. He might even become daimyo if he had strong connections. Yes, then, like dominoes, he would take over the other nations one by one. He had no idea that Setsui had designed this very plan for him. Yes, I, Danzo, will first become a king and subsequently a god. Indeed, a deity worthy of worship. The Western Mountains. A crow descended and settled on a boy wearing a green and black checkered overcoat. I'm not sure what the term is. The boy had red hair. He grinned. The crow spoke, Queen. Said to. Go to her. All save for master. The boy said, all right, Inosuke, Zenitsu. We have to go to Lady Riska. Inosuke asked, when do we leave, Tanjiro? As soon as we tell the others. She means for us all to go. Even Lady Tamayo and Yushiro. I guess we'll have to travel at night then. Tanjiro replied. Inosuke replied, yeah, we can't let Tomato and Shido get burned up. Zenitsu questioned, Tanjiro, are we going to fight after? Maybe. Besides, all of us will be there and so will Nezuko. Tanjiro replied. Zenith let out a sigh. All of the demon slayers were soon prepared to leave. They were aware that Riska would have sent for them in a serious and urgent manner. A man wearing a mask observed intently. Silently, he trailed behind. He would ensure that his valuable was safe. Hidan gazed at the oddity. He appeared to be a living dead body. Even though he was not super strong, every sense in him cried out to run. Hidan laughed heartily. It's going to be fun, this dude. Hidan's pride overcame him as he thought. Hidan threw his weapon at Muzan, who easily caught it. Hidan threw his weapon once more and exclaimed, you'll be a fine sacrifice to Jashin. He will reward me greatly with your blood. Ha 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 ha. Muzan grinned. Jashin? Asked Muzan. Hidan grabbed Muzan's arm and grinned. Then Hidan started his just you. Hidan grinned and uttered, death possession blood, as his body morphed from normal to skeletal, black and white. Muzan said something. Muzan muttered, interesting. Hidan completed his Jashin symbol very quickly. Muzan did not move. Hidan stabbed himself in the arm and exclaimed, now for the fun. Muzan's arm burst with blood. Hidan chuckled. Muzan remained silent. Ha 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 ha. Are we having fun yet? Your blood will earn me more power, ha 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 ha. Hidan yelled. Hidan let out a gleeful scream, and Muzan grinned. Hidan gazed at Muzan's arm wound. It had stopped bleeding. Hidan snarled. Hidan yelled, stop. I will bleed you for Jashin. Really? What makes you think you are worthy to bleed me? Your power is interesting. I think I'll take you as a toy for my pleasure. I will have so much fun with you. I'm interested in your abilities. Your Jashin is a piece of shit. You are nothing but a maggot under my feet. I let you hit me so I could determine your worth. Now it's my turn. Muzan said, moving at a rate that Hidan couldn't. Hidan thought, what the hell? Muzan and Hidan were seated in a circle. Muzan slashed his own hand as Hidan swung his weapon in an attempt to kill him. Hidan looked down and saw his left hand on the ground. How in the hell? As Hidan noticed his hand, he spoke. Hidan rolled over in agony as Muzan slashed his stomach. He's doing this, but how? Hidan pondered. Muzan laughed as he proceeded to chop off more and more body parts, until Hidan resembled a jigsaw puzzle. Muzan grinned. As he reassembled Hidan's body, Muzan exclaimed, so you can't die? I even cut your head off and you are still alive. You are a good toy for me to play with. Hidan yelled, Jashin will save me. Muzan grinned and said, Jashin is dead. You will submit to me. Then he started tearing Hidan apart once more. Hidan cried out in agony as he was torn to pieces again. Nice, so I can tear you apart and put you back together? Let's try something else. Muzan replied. He repeatedly slashed Hidan with his own weapon. Muzan was enjoying herself. He finally had the toy he'd always wanted, a one that he could be rough with. Hidan felt the cold seep into his bones as Muzan laughed. Kakuzu is where? As Muzan forcefully put his hand in Hidan's mouth, Hidan thought. A bitter taste filled Hidan's mouth. Muzan grinned. I'm not going to make you a full-fledged demon, but I'm making you my slave. For all eternity I'll have a toy to play with. To do anything to. What is your name, slave? Muzan replied. Hidan resisted the temptation for a bit. Hidan sobbed as his free will was taken away as a seal materialized on his chest. Not another Jashin. Put an end to the killing. No more liberty. For Muzan, Hidan's tears were like an addictive drug. Hidan said, Hidan, master, this is Hidan. Muzan grinned, icy and callous. Well, Hidan, let's go have some fun. Violence makes me hot under the collar and you are my new toy, in bed and out. Take off that disgusting cloak and ring, it's unbecoming of my toy. Muzan replied. Hidan took off the ring and cloak and dropped them to the floor. Muzan grinned at those words. Master, I have done as you asked. I will follow you now. He turned to watch Kakuzu ascending the path. Hidan heard Muzan say, wait here. Hidan took a seat to wait. Walking to Kakuzu, Muzan. Kakuzu sneered, what do you want? Muzan uttered, your blood. Your flesh. Your bones. Kakuzu attempted to jump but was unable. How come? Kakuzu's gaze found a circle in the ground. He is thus making use of a possession just you. Simple HRRRKKKKKK. As 4 spikes pierced Kakuzu's chest, destroying all 4 of his masks and hearts, he thought. No, I cannot die in this place. While being brought towards Muzan, Kakuzu pondered. Kakuzu was drawing nearer to Muzan, who was consuming his blood. Muzan grabbed Kakuzu's neck when he was barely conscious. He then dragged Kakuzu's body into his own, swallowing him whole. After tearing apart the cloak, he threw it away. Muzan walked back to Hidan, who was waiting with his clothes still unblemished by blood. Muzan gave Hidan a smile. Muzan held on to Hidan and said, Hidan, my pet, let's go home for now. We need to rest. Biwa. The two vanished as if they had never been there, followed by the sound of strings being plucked. A crow took off to report, heading west. One of the cloaks was torn apart, and another creature seemed to give the two orders to head back to the hideout. Upon glancing around, the bird discovered the cloaks and took off. West. As she awaited the arrival of the demon slayers, Riska cast her gaze to the western sky. They'd show up in groups of 2 or 3. She spun around to see Naruto standing there after sensing a presence behind her. Naruto questioned anxiously, Riska, this demon slayers won't mind the fact I have Kyuubi? No. The demons they hunt are truly despicable. They eat humans, and when they find a human they deem worthy of becoming one of them, they turn them. Some die in the process, but for those who do survive they become monsters. I think you'll like a few of them instantly, but others may take a while to warm up to you. Ah, right on time. Riska replied when she noticed a group approaching the secret path. Seeing Rengoku in the lead, she grinned. He was accompanied by Tanjiro, Inosuke, and Zenitsu. Hello, Lady Riska. Sorry, the others will be arriving later than expected. I have brought the young ones with me. Rengoku roared. Riska grinned. It's okay. I figured that everyone will be arriving apart in groups. This young fellow here is Naruto. Naruto, this is Tanjiro, Inosuke, and Zenitsu. Riska responded. Naruto took a quick liking to Rengoku. His smile was contagious and he was incredibly amiable. Tanjiro softly said, I'm Tanjiro. Can I ask you something without being rude? Yes, Naruto replied. Why do you smell like a fox even though you also smell like a human? Tanjiro inquired. Naruto hesitated, unsure of how to tell them. Naruto remarked, well, it's a long story. Tanjiro grinned. If you don't mind telling us, we could hear it over dinner. And we can tell you about ourselves. Tanjiro grinned. Naruto heard a and grinned. Naruto inquired, what was that? Tanjiro grinned. Tanjiro said, I'll have to show you later. Inosuke was complaining a little when he noticed Lee exercising and walking on his hands. Inosuke was curious about the approach he was taking. Tanjiro asked, Inosuke, what are you looking at? Bullhead over there. How is he able to move like that with the weights on? He's not using total concentration breathing. Inazuki replied. That's Lee. Guy Sensei trains him. Those are actually some of the smaller whites he uses. Naruto replied. Zenitsu and Inosuke observed. Tanjiro inquired, maybe he can train with us? Narayo heard the box make noise once more. What's in the box, Kyuubi? Asked Naruto. Kyuubi gave a neutral response. A monstrous. Konoha. Danzo looked at the Hokage, then at the order in front of him. Clean the entire Hokage tower in preparation for the next Hokage speech. It will postpone my marriage, but I will make the necessary arrangements. Danzo thought, until I become Hokage, then I'll get rid of all the rules and take over the nations. It will be the festival's culmination, and the people need assurance. I hope you've finished the plaza, the Hokage uttered. The Hokage nodded and Danzo said, yes, it is finished. The Hokage said, that's all. Danzo stormed out of the office, working on D-ranked missions. He would have to look into why the Hokage's eyes didn't function, possibly because he lacked a chakra. Rainfall. Pain thought, I must wait a bit longer until Zetsu is reborn and send him to find out. We will go into the shadows and wait until we have all the elements we need. Conan had been sent to investigate the whereabouts of the One-Tails. She had not sent word yet. Of course, she probably just made it to sand. He would wait for her to report back. A hawk flew into Pain's office carrying Hidan's and Kakuzu's rings and a torn cloak. Pain felt cold as he saw the rings and the cloak. A few days earlier, near sand. Conan thought to herself, Pain told me to stay hidden among the normal people, as she made her way among the rock formations, trying to blend in. Suddenly, a wall of earth appeared in front of her, and she stopped, realizing that someone had discovered her. She turned to face a stunning woman wearing a leopard print dress and a large man. Are you Conan? The person who uses paper. When the wind suddenly picked up and Conan's paper was blown away, Kahani smiled. Conan called her paper attacks to get ready for a battle, Kahani asked. The huge man was spinning an axe to create the wind. I located you. Conan tried to run but was pinned to the ground by a cheetah, which injected something into Conan's neck, causing him to feel drowsy and eventually fall asleep. Now come along easy and we won't hurt you, Kahani said. Please take her and place her in the basket, Eric. Now that we have her, we will return home. Eric lifted Conan into the chakra restricting basket, and the two soon found themselves traveling west with the cargo. I don't know why Riska wanted her, but she has her reasons, Kahani remarked. Sounds. What the heck? You demand that me discover WHO? Kabuto cried out, and Orochimaru scowled. Kakuzu. He has the power to make me eternal. Orochimaru said, pass around a great bounty prize he'll show up. Kabuto nodded. Yes, sir. Kabuto said, leaving the room. I'll tell him I did it and he'll believe me, Kabuto thought to himself. He smiled as he left. Later, he went to sleep. In his dream, he was the master, and everyone bowed to him. Konoha. Dreamscape Danzo. When a blade suddenly sliced through the air, severing Danzo's eye, he was sleeping. Danzo screamed as the blade repeatedly sliced through him. You took something from us, give it back. As they scratched Danzo, chanting eyeless people did so. This isn't real at all. You're not telling the truth. Danzo cried out as the ghosts surrounded him and then. Sweating, Danzo awoke at 2 in the morning to find himself wide awake. Nightmare, he thought to himself, but this felt real, possibly from too much stress. Maybe I should see a doctor tomorrow to make sure my assets are working properly, he thought to himself before drifting back to sleep only to have the nightmare return. In front of Riska, Kahani and Eric presented their captive. Conan had come awake from his slumber. She was bound in a way that made it impossible for her to use any power. Conan gave them a glare. Riska questioned, you are Conan, the paper user? Conan had taken off her gag. Yes, I am Conan. Pain will end you once I get free. Conan replied. Because of the delicate nature of bringing Conan here, Riska had moved them into a secure location some distance from the camp. Conan forced a brave face, but Riska let her aura show. A strong aura moved Conan to her knees. Pain had mentioned powers in the west that were far larger than the Nins in the east. Conan felt afraid now. You are indeed Conan. I mean you no harm. You were actually brought here for a very important reason. Tell me, what do you know of the blue spider lily? Riska responded. Conan looked up sharply. How is the blue spider lily known to her? Conan questioned herself. Conan mumbled, I know where they are. Exactly. You will tell me if you do, I will set you free to go. Riska replied. When Conan met her eyes, he knew she was telling the truth. On the mountain of the everlasting night, the blue lilies grow. The mountain is on the border between the east and west. I don't know the name of the mountain. Conan replied. Riska grinned. Riska placed her staff on Conan's shoulder and said, I do. Now I will set you free. A feeling of warmth engulfed Conan's spirit. She was joyful once more. No. Who is Pain, and what is it? As Riska erased all of her memories and replaced them with a happy, joyous life in the West, Conan thought. A villa she had discovered required a mistress to manage it. She discovered that Conan was aware of the blue spider lily and had pursued her. Conan glanced at Riska, calm and clear in her eyes. Conan exclaimed, "Queen, what am I doing here?" Riska said softly, "You came to deliver the herbs I requested, Conan. Go home." After bowing, Conan left the tent. A man bowed, his hair pulled back into a high ponytail. "Mistress Conan, we have prepared everything you need. Shall we go?" The man replied. Conan grinned. As additional servants brought a covered chair, Kenan responded, "Yes, Jin." Conan sat down. A woman servant Saud said, "Mistress, we have new fabrics and things. I'll make you a new dress." Conan grinned. She was content. "You could have killed her. No one would have said anything," said Kahani. Riska grinned. Yes, but her soul was pure. Just that others were misguiding her. This Pain is truly a monster to manipulate the affections of his own comrades. I simply gave her the life she deserved. Now let's head back to camp, we have to plan for next steps. Riska replied. Demi and Jack were at camp when she left. Out of nowhere, a voice yelled over the shared link. Demi said, "Riska, we have trouble." Riska asked, "What kind and how bad?" As she started to teleport to the camp. Golems. Konoha. Danzo was waiting, composed. Demio was on his way to see his cousin. I can now use my gift to assume Demio's identity. Danzo pondered. Playing along, Danzo asked, Carby, did the crew get the cleaning done for the Demio visit? Yes, sir. They just finished. Also, the Hokage wants to see you. Carby replied. Danzo let out a sigh. He would, of course. Danzo lost his temper. Walked to Hokage Tower, Danzo. He went into the office. Danzo asked, You want to see me? Setsui raised his gaze. Yes. My cousin is coming, as you know. I saw the cleaning crew finish the streets. Good work. I want you to accompany me to meet the Demio as he is at the gate. Let's go. Setsui replied. His schemes will fail as long as I keep him close to me. Setsui way of thinking. He was covered in a seal that stopped anyone within 6 feet from pulling pranks on him. Danzo, Setsui, and the council made their way to the gate. On either side of him stood the guards of Demio. On a raised dais stood the Demio. Setsui bowed along with everyone else and said, My lord, welcome to Konoha. Demio spoke. Well, Setsui, I see that the position of Hokage has been good for you. It was a great idea outing you here. I see that we will be getting better in the future. Now, I'm anxious to speak with you alone, so let's go to the Hokage's office. The Daimyo replied. Setsui went to the tower after. The Daimyo greeting and waving to the public. Danzo was still on foot, but he was furious inside. How is he able to resist? Perhaps the eyes are becoming less powerful? No, if that were the case, the Uchiha wouldn't have been acting so sternly. Danzo lost his temper. Setsui turned to face Danzo and the Kusal. Please enjoy the rest of the day. Danzo clean up the streets so the celebrations can continue. Said Setsui. Danzo replied, Yes, Hokage. Setsui observed Danzo go. In the primary chair sat the Daimyo. You seem happier since you came here. I'm glad you sent me the letter of Danzo trying to place a spy by me. The girl is happy being the prince's imperial concubine. She and the main wife are friends, so that's good. The Daimyo replied. Setsui grinned. I believe Danzo was the reason we almost lost our alliances. If we could only find out if it was true, we could at least stop the problem. The Daimyo replied. I have reason to believe that Danzo was the reason for all the trouble years ago. When you told me you had no memory of ordering the Sasuke retrieval squad banished, I suspected Sumane had an ulterior motive. Danzo had a group called Root. I believe you wanted those boys for that. Now, we have lost the Sannin and loyal Nins. Even if you rescind the banishment order, they won't return and I can't blame them. They were betrayed by one of their own and that kind of betrayal doesn't go away. Setsui replied softly. Daimyo gave a nod. I am not going to rescind the order. Keeping those powerful nins away from such as Danzo is more important. I know you blame me for that, but perhaps it is for the best. How is the Ibarra clan settling in? The daimyo responded. Very useful. Tetra Ibarra married Carb, Danzo's assistant, last month. The merchants are welcoming but still mad that most places charge higher prices. We have no genin, so we aren't taking high missions, and Danzo is over the cleanup cruise. Setsui responded. Oh my, I guess I can tell my guard to enjoy the rooms you have for them. The daimyo laughed. Setsui grinned too. Danzo's suffering has only just begun. Setsui way of thinking. The daimyo said, Setsui, since you are off tonight, let's have a drinking game. Setsui grinned. The mansion in infinity. With Muzan, his new toy was a delight. He had just let Hidan have his wrath. His body healed, Hidan. Did you like that, my toy? You will meet the others soon enough. Muzan replied. Hidan knelt beside him, expressionless. Hidan answered, yes, master. Muzan grinned. I can't wait to use that mouth of yours tonight. Biwa, summon the top 6. Muzan replied. Muzan was facing the top 6 after a few plucks. Doma cried out, Lord Muzan, what a new toy. Akaza gave a growl. Gyoko and Hantengu gave the toy a scowl. Kokoshibo just stood there. This is Hidan. My toy. Akaza, have you found anything on the blue spider lily? Muzan replied. Akaza replied, not yet, Lord Muzan. Useless piece of shit. Doma, anything on your end? Replied Muzan. Why, yes. A lady of mine said that there was a girl in a village called Rain in the nations that knew where the spider lilies are. I would have sent someone be the leader of that village as also the leader of a band on outlaws. I believe your new toy came from there. Doma replied. Interesting. Hidan, tell us about this leader. Muzan replied. Hidan asked, what is it you want to know, master? Muzan approached Hidan's face and mumbled. Everything. Springtime. Koike turned to face the letter she was holding. She grinned. They're secure. Maybe it's better for them to go over the wall. Koike pondered. A butler came in. The servant said, my lady, a messenger from Cloud is here. Koike said, let them in. The servant opened the door and bowed. Samui entered. Samui? Inquired Koike. Yes, he sent me to relay a message to you. He wishes to remove B away from the nations as well as Fu and Yugito. He said you made know of a safe place. Samui replied. Koike let out a sigh. I can offer them sanctuary here. I'm sure that will be good. Said Koike. I have them with me, so I'll leave them with you. Goodbye. Said Samui. Koike gave a nod. Samui walked out and down to the ground floor. Yugito cried out, Wah, you can't abandon us. B gave her a shoulder tap. Yugito, she has no other choice. If we stay in Cloud, hundreds of people could die. As long as we are away, Thizoeple we be safe. B replied with sternness. Samui hated to do this, but he had gotten word from his daimyo that if it came down to it, he wanted B and Yugito turned over. Taki had requested that a permit Fu to accompany them. Samui gave her a hug. Yugito gave Samui a hug and said, I'm not leaving you. This isn't goodbye. Just a brief parting. I'll be back before you know it. Koike came over to them. Lady Koike, we know your council will want us gone. B responded. True, but if you are in the west with 9 and 1 you'll be safe. Koike replied. B's head snapped up. B grabbed Fu and Yugito and said, 9 and 1? We should go. Thank you. They bolted towards the wall. B, what did she mean 9 and 1? And the west is dangerous. Fu shouted. B leapt over the tall wall and grabbed them. They were greeted by a man in a plain robe. Through the Xantu trading house, Koike had sent word to the west. You are the Spring Group? I am from the Xantu trading house. The man replied. B answered, we are. The man grinned. Good, good. The people you seek are about 50 miles to the north of us. Perhaps you want to wait until tomorrow? The man replied. B said something. B replied, nah. We're heading that way now. The man did so as the group gained momentum. B was leading the way. "Let me take over, B. I'll get us all there more quickly," said Yuki. "All right." B answered back. B suddenly leapt and grabbed the Gurks. Yuki's abilities allowed them to quickly cover the distance. Huge stone golems battling the ninjas greeted them. B smiled. "Let's go. Time to play." Gobi withdrew to give B space to fight, and B launched himself into the battle. The stone golem was not prepared for this. This one had been a fight between Tsunade and Jiraiya. "What are these things? My attack has no affect." B replied. "Golems have a weakness, we just haven't found it yet. And with these being made of stone and earth, earth-based justice won't work." Jiraiya concluded. Demi, Jack, and Riska engaged in combat with a larger group. Kakashi and the Census were fighting the final one, while Naruto and the other genin were fighting a smaller one. Eric was fending off the tiny creatures that tried to attack while Kahani searched for the weak point. Kakashi yelled, "Riska, is there any way to kill these things? Stone golems are the hardest to defeat. You literally have to bust the heads open and destroy the paper that is controlling them." Riska stated. Naruto had the assistance of Rengoku and the Slayers. Riska was concerned. She could detonate a soul bomb, but that would also harm the ninnies. Abruptly, a tiny golem materialized behind her, poised to attack. "Riska, get behind you!" yelled Jack. Riska turned to take a counter. But someone else was there already. They were extremely well built and wore a long white cloak with a high collar. "Seems like you have some trouble, Riska. Mind if I cut in?" the man replied. Riska grinned. Riska said, "Be my guest." To the man. With a smile on his face, the man threw back his fist and struck the sword he had used to deflect the golem's blade. The golem broke apart. Riska then turned to confront the larger golem, but it was motionless. Then she saw Kahani pulling a man while transformed into a lion. The magic that had been keeping the golems alive broke, and they scattered. The man was dropped by Kahani in the center of the group. Riska approached and took hold of the man. With ice in her voice, Riska questioned, "Who ordered you to use those golems?" The man grinned. "My master is the one who ordered me. So you think you can scare me? Ha 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 ha. My master will save me," the man replied. Although Riska was aware that she could elicit more details, she had a superior plan. Riska smiled and said, "Anko, you were an expert in information retrieval, weren't you? Perhaps you would like to get the information we need?" Anko moistened her mouth. Anko remarked with a sparkle in her eye, "Yeah, it's been a while since I have asked for some info." Suddenly the man was afraid, really afraid. As she drugged him off, Anko's eyes conveyed a world of pain to the man. Anko's laughter made those who knew her shudder. Riska turned to face the white cloaked man. He questioned, "What?" Riska gave him a glare. "You're late. You were supposed to be here last week," Riska said. The man smiled. "Well, I kinda got involved with some bandits. I forgot to send a message," the man replied. Riska gave a headshake. It was the nins who had approached the man. He was a foot taller than Riska. His face was framed by his black hair. He had a broad shoulders. Naruto uttered words. Naruto questioned, astonished by the man's strength, "Riska, who is this?" Riska grinned. "Naruto, meet the Castle of Infinity." As Hidan told him about Conan, Muzan grinned. He would soon receive his reward, but first he would need to wait for the dust to settle. "Lord Muzan, we can't find those damn demon slayers. They disappeared with the red light district in that stanking place. I want to tear them apart," Akaza replied. Muzan scowled at him. "The spies haven't found anything. The rats are running for now. Too bad they were able to kill Upper Six, but we will replace them. Those slayers will die at our hands," Muzan stated. Akaza gave a growl. My, Akaza. You must learn patience. If you spent more time around women you would learn it. Their manners, their taste, their screams of agony. So delicious. Doma replied. Akaza gave Doma a scowl. Akaza sneered, "Only a coward hurts women." Doma laughed. Muzan gave a finger snap. "Biwa, send these two back. I have plans for this morning." Muzan replied. Biwa pulled on the strings, causing the two to depart. Muzan gave Hidan a smile. With glowing eyes, Muzan exclaimed, "Now, my pet, let me hear the screams of agony." Tears filled Hidan's face. It dawned on him that Jashin and pain had left him behind. As Muzan took the lead rope and led him farther into the castle, all he could do was whimper. Muzan held the whimper and grinned. An actual gift. As he led Hidan into his special room, Muzan pondered. Muzan would have a good night's sleep. Konoha. In front of the Hokage stood Danzo. After the daimyo's party dispersed, Danzo took charge of tidying up the festivities. He desired to appoint himself Hokage and use his persuasion to force the Hokage to resign. A nin suddenly appeared in the room as he was about to use his asset. "Lord Hokage!" exclaimed the nin. Setsui exclaimed, "What is it? You burst into my office like so." "A message from the scouts. 2 wanted S-class nins reported to be headed this way." The nin replied. Setsui yelled commands. "Close the gates. No one in or out without permission, papers, and all cargo is to be searched. Cat, double the guards on the walls, place traps and seals, and have all available nins report to duty," said Setsui. Those ninjas would be trouble, he knew. Danzo grinned and continued. "It seems that my advice is needed." "Hokage, we need." Danzo said. "Did I ask for you input, Danzo?" "I did not. You are to remain in your current position as a backup nin." Setsui replied with a scowl. Danzo appeared irate. "Cat, issue these orders. All citizens and backup nins are to remain in their homes. Supplies will be sent to the homes via Anbu. Anyone caught outside after 6 p.m. will be arrested," said Setsui. Danzo snarled. "Are you upset? You seemed to be happy when you heard they were coming here." "Dragon, take Danzo to the holding cells. He is to remain there until I give the order to release him," Setsui responded. Danzo's chakra was sealed away by Dragon with a slap. Danzo was led away with no option. They put him in a cell. "How could I experience this? My destiny is to become the next Hokage. If it comes to it, I will escape this jail cell and turn into a missing nin." Danzo pondered. The cell's lights abruptly went out. Danzo gazed off into the night. He knew it wasn't a nightmare because they weren't frequent. He attempted, but was unable, to access his assets. The cells make it impossible to use chakras. Interesting, Danzo pondered. Suddenly, Danzo was blinded by the intense light that filled his cell. "So you finally got put here. HMPH, you're the reason Enko left. If I had proof, I'd say you were behind the banishment," Ibiki replied. Danzo felt fear now. Enko had been like a little sister to Ibiki, so when she left, he was furious. Danzo had no chakra and was powerless. As he departed, Ibiki chuckled. Danzo gave a shudder. He would wait patiently and grow stronger. Setsui grinned. His scheme to lock Danzo up succeeded. The Anbu had been instructed to behave in that manner. He wouldn't be suspicious if he held him for a week. "Karbi, you have done well. You and Tetra are a great pair. Go home," the Hokage replied. Biled, Karbi turned to go. "Cat, take a unit and search the Shimura home. Bring everything to me. Let no one know what you are doing," Setsui replied. "Let's see, old man, what you have planned." The mountains to the north of the nations. Gazing at the nations was a man. He'd claim them as his own. He would rule over everyone. After many years, he would ascend to the position of ruler of the East, and once that region had fallen, he would search for the fabled Sword of Souls in order to attain immortality. He let out a heartless, icy laugh. The world would soon turn against him. West. Naruto meet Hiko Seijiro, master of the hidden Mitsurugi. "Ria, style," Riska stated. The nin were silent. It was amazing to meet the master of the hidden Mitsurugi. Ria, style, as it was a legendary style. Guy was in shock. "Meeting you, sir, is a privilege," Naruto uttered. Hiko grinned. "So you are the nins from the east. I thought that most were gone by now. But then again, it has been years since I heard anything from over the wall," Hiki replied. Riska gave a headshake. Riska asked, Hiko, where's Kenshin and the others? They will be here. Karo wanted to help with some of the injured in the village. Megumi is helping her. So they should be here tomorrow. Hiko replied. Ruska gave a nod. Riska said softly, well then, I suppose you want a drink? Hiko had a shy expression. Hiko responded, yeah, but... He saw a man he knew right away out of nowhere. Hiko exclaimed, Jiraiya. How's it going? As the Toad Sage approached. Jiraiya dragged him off and said, Hiko. I was going to look you up but with everything going on. Let's get a drink. Glaring after them was Tsunade. Let them blow off some steam. Besides, you could always join them. Riska replied. Tsunade strode away to chastise Jiraiya for abandoning her. Riska grinned. Abruptly, a freezing sensation shivered down her spine. She would have to put in even more training for the ninjas because she knew there was a great danger ahead. She remembered words she'd heard years before. Offspring of man and fox. Offspring of a blooming tree. Offspring of the intellect. Offspring of the butterfly. Young person in shadows. Offspring of sorrow. Youngster with courage. A heart child. Born into the wild. Offspring of the throng. Offspring of metal. Offspring of authority. They're the ones who deserve these rings. Soul Queen, once their powers are awakened and they are located, they will rise up as warriors to stop the darkness from taking over the world. To allow the rings to find the masters, only you have the key to open the box. Once they like you, they will become immune to all kinds of weapons, illness, and aging, as will anyone they give a ring to. They will live forever, just like you. Keep in mind that, unlike you, they must accept the rings on their own initiative and without outside influence. But keep in mind that they can only really access these powers when they are on the verge of death, just as you have done. Riska gazed into the open space. The children in the poem aligned. Now the poem popped into her head, the one she had always carried with her, the box. Give them more time to be children if that's the case. Riska observed the camp and said. The sun had disappeared. Tanjiro gave Naruto a call. Tanjiro opened the box and said, Naruto, now that the battle is over and the sun had gone down, let me introduce my little sister. A 14 year old girl emerged. Her eyes were pink, her hair orange at the ends, and she had a bamboo muzzle. Little sister? Inquired Naruto. Yes, this is Nezuko. She was turned into a demon. I'm trying to turn her back or at least let her be in the sun. Tanjiro replied. Nezuko gave Naruto a smile. Kid, I think I can help. The inn who turned this girl is not a demon like us. Those monsters eat humans and are the scum of the worlds. But this child has it in her to be as great as her brother. Kyuubi responded. Naruto said, Tanjiro, Kyuubi said he can help your sister. Tanjiro appeared astonished. Kyuubi? Inquired Tanjiro. Oh right, I forgot. See, Kyuubi is a demon but not like the one who hurt your sister. He's a chakra demon. Naruto replied. Tanjiro asked, where is he? Inside me. Really? Wow. I have met good demons. Kurama, Hiei, Sessamaru, and the others. I know Muzan is a monster. I just want to stop him. My family died Bekais if him. If I can restore Nezuko to her human self or even allow her to be in sunlight, I'll stop at nothing to help her. Tanjiro replied. Tanjiro felt Naruto's hand fall to his shoulder. I know what it's like to lose your home. I never really have a close family until I joined the academy and my team. Sure, we had spats and stuff, but we are family. Said Naruto. Nekuzo concurred. Then Naruto got an idea. Hey, Sakura, Tenten, Ino, Hinata. Come here. Tanjiro wants you to meet his little sister. Naruto yelled. The girls approached. Naruto related the tale to them. The girls started talking to Nekuzo as soon as they saw her. Nekuzo extended his arm to give Naruto a head pat. I'm happy that she likes you, Tanjiro said. Then Naroro got an idea. Hey, there might be a way for you guys to meet Kyuubi. I'm going to have to practice it, but if it works, Kyuubi can talk to you guys and maybe tell us how he can help. Naruto replied. It was Tanjiro who spoke. Tanjiro inquired, and how will you do that? Naruto grinned and uttered a few phrases. Shadow clone Justu. For Danzo, it had been an exhausting week. He found the holding cell to be extremely uncomfortable. The Hokage is allowed to hold him for a week by law. He was about to depart. The door to his cell opened abruptly. Sesui entered, his expression serene. The danger has passed. You are free to go. However, your assistant couldn't fulfill the duty that was given, so I'm afraid you are behind in the infrastructure work. However, with the summer coming on, you will have to make sure to finish your work before midday, said Setsui. Danzo got to his feet. Yes, Hokage. I was thinking that I could do the waterworkings then. And about the marriage? Danzo replied. Setsui pivoted to face him. Oh yes, the wedding is the second week of July. The daimyo will be there. Setsui replied. Danzo grinned. It would barely take 2 months to go by. Danaz left the jail by foot. He headed for his office. Carby was occupied at the desk, just as he had anticipated. Behind the remaining paperwork, Danzo sat in his chair and Carby said, Sir, we have several waterworks requests that came in. I have sorted them from shortest to longest. While patience is a virtue, I'm running out of it. I'll assume the Hokage and daimyo seat after the fake marriage and rise above everyone else. I am going to be a god. Danzo sorted through the papers, thinking. He had no idea that someone was lurking in the shadows, observing him. Setsui observed Danzo with a smile. So your plan for revenge has almost come to pass. What will you do after that? A man inquired to Setsui. Su, I will still be Hokage. These people deserve a leader who is unbiased. My cousin was led to believe that those nins were traitors. It is better if they never return here. Danzo took the one thing I loved and destroyed it, and now I will tear his hopes, dreams, and life to shambles, but I will not take his life. No, that is reserved for someone else. Setsui replied sternly. What Su was talking about, he knew. Danzo knew that Setsui was determined to exact revenge and that Setsui harbored deep hatred for him. West. A week prior. Justu, shadow clone, Naruto uttered. 2 clones materialized. Tanjiro appeared astonished. Naruto sent the clones away, saying, See, I can make these and maybe Kyuubi can find a way to communicate with us. Tanjiro grinned. Nekuzo was being stroked and talked to by all of the girls. Tanjiro was content. As Inosuke was working out, he noticed Lee working out. After getting into a fight, the two started comparing their skills. Tanjiro called, Inosuke. Let's go eat. Lee and Inosuke. We're still having disagreements. Inosuke, come on, I could beat you any day. Come on. Once more, Tanjiro called, Inosuke. Come eat. Inosuke continued to argue while seated. Inosuke exclaimed, Come on, Manjiro, let me fight him. Tanjiro pointed out, it wouldn't be fair. Besides, you use swords and he doesn't. Inosuke moaned and turned to leave. As they all took a seat to eat, Inosuke took off his boar head. He was staring at by the Konoha nins. Asked Sasuke, you got a problem with my face? Inosuke asked. No. Just thinking that you'd be a perfect shinobi. Sasuke replied. Inosuke asked, what do you mean? Your face doesn't match your strength. In the shinobi world we grew up in, deception is one of the greatest weapons. Your face is the first thing people would see, Sasuke replied. Inosuke appeared perplexed. A voice called out from behind them, he means that your face would lead someone to believe you are weaker than you truly are. Mr. Uzui. Exclaimed Tanjiro as Tengen emerged, followed closely by his wives, Gyotaro, and Ume, Daki. Hey guys. It's your first time here. Exclaimed Tanjiro. Ume grinned. Yes, we brought Lady Tamayo and Yushiro with us. They're talking with Riska now. Said Gyotaro. Ume grinned upon seeing Nezuko. Brother, I'm going to play with Nezuko, okay? Ume replied. As his sister bolted, Gyotaro nodded. He reflected on their defeat at the hands of their current allies and the opportunity for redemption. Retrospection. Gyotaro turned to face the Hellfires. There was where he belonged. His only regret, aside from not regretting his human life, was not being able to shield his sister from the terrible fate that befell her. In order to save her again, he easily caved in to Doma's bargain. Ultimately, he had turned into the very thing he had tried to shield Ume from. He would defend Ume if he had to do it over. To ensure that he would always be with his younger sister, he would right the wrongs he had caused. Ume screamed, "Brother!" and ran to embrace him. Gyotaro cried as he said, "Leave, go back to the light." "Ume, where I'm going, you cannot follow." "Leave." Ume sobbed, "You said you'd never leave me. And now? Please, brother." Through the limbo, a soft voice asked, "Would you like a second chance at life? At redemption?" Gyotaro whirled to shield Ume from the unidentified aggressor. Riska moved away from the group. Gyotaro remarked, "Life and redemption? You mean become a demon again?" "No, to return to the bodies that you possessed before you were tricked." Muzan heard about you and sent that samurai to cause trouble. He used the fear of people to make you come to him. That's why Doma was there. They knew you would seek revenge and have hatred on your heart. The chance I'm giving you is for you to earn redemption and keep your lives. You will still have to fight, but only those who commit such heinous acts as what happened to you. You are in limbo now and the choice is yours. Riska responded. Gyotaro turned to face her, expressionless. Muzan knew this. He tricked us. How many others has he done this to? Ume was just a child. How? Ume, would you like to go back? Maybe even make friends? Softly replied Gyutaro. Ume grinned. I'd like that. I like the girl in the pink haori. She has a big brother too, and maybe you can help them? Ume replied with a grin. Lady, I'll accept on one condition. Riska asked softly, what condition is that? That you allow us to retain our demon powers. They're very useful, said Gyotaro. Riska grinned. I had planned on it. Hold out your hands, palms up. Riska responded. They followed her instructions. The gloomy, dark space suddenly filled with light. Gyotaro was momentarily blinded by the brightness of it. All of a sudden, they were once again in the destroyed entertainment area. The Hashiras and others were not far from there. All of a sudden, people started to disappear. Leave us alone. The demons said as long as you are here they will keep attacking. From now on, anyone who sees a demon slayer will have the right to execute them, no questions asked. Kill all the demon slayers. The crowd gasped. As the griot got ready to fight, a bouquet of flowers made its way around the group. A quiet voice said, Blue's demon art, flowery illusion. Tamayo had become a member of the group and was guarding them with her blood art. We came as soon as we could. Muzan Jas turned the entire area against us. Tamayo replied. Riska gave a nod. Riska questioned, is their master here? Are all the slayers present? Tamayo said something. The slayers are, but I don't see their master. Perhaps he is still at his estate? Replied Tamayo. Riska gave a nod. She then struck the ground with her staff, and the group was teleported across the wall and into the west. Then she turned back to face the master. The group turned to gaze at Ume and Gyotaro. Tengen still lacked a hand and an eye. Gyotaro stepped forward cautiously. Tengen called his wives off even though they were prepared to kill. Tengen asked, so we are going to continue this battle? Gyotaro gave a headshake. Gyotaro responded, no, I'm going to try something. Tengen watched as Gyotaro encircled his left arm in his hands. Blood started to flow from the stump all of a sudden. Tengen wasn't concerned, but the girls were. The bandages were removed, and to everyone's amazement, Tengen's left arm grew a hand. Tengen gave it an amazed look. That's new, how? Tengen inquired. All Gyotaro did was shrug. I cut it off. I just concentrated and regrew it. Now the eye is a different story, said Gyotaro. Riska said something. He may be able to replace it. Hiei, what do you think? Riska asked. Hiei was brought to meet the others by her after she had teleported back. If he's strong enough, he'll be able to take the pain. If not, well, that's up to him. Hiei replied. Tengen's eyes burned as he glanced at Hiei. Well, there's only one way to find out now, isn't there? Tengen replied. Gyotaro and Yume's past and their second chance were soon revealed to the rest of the group. Shinobu gave Gyotaro a questioning glance. How many humans did you kill while in the demon form? She inquired. Gyotaro said, countless humans. I lost track after so long. Shinobu grinned. Shinobu said, at least you're honest. Now why are you so skinny? Gyotaro answered, always have been. Why the questions? May I get some of your blood? You may have deficiency that can be treated, said Shinobu. Gyotaro gave her permission to extract some blood. Ume said, brother, can she really help you? Gyotaro grinned. We've found people who don't judge us, so maybe we were destined to be slayers. She's going to give it a shot. As well, Gyotaro uttered. Shinobu soon returned with a smile on her face. Well, you have metabolic disorder and a vitamin deficiency. Nothing a little medicine won't help. Shinobu replied. Ume ran and gave Shinobu a startled hug. Thank you for helping my brother. And for giving us a chance. Ume replied. Shinobu smiled nervously. Despite being a child at all, she had done evil deeds as Daki. Ume, though, was unique. Shinobu gave her a hug back. You're welcome, Ume. Gyotaro is an ally now, so I don't mind helping him. Shinobu replied. Un grinned. At last, Gyotaro was content. Close the flashback. While Ume and Nezuko were chasing each other around, Gyotaro grinned. Then, as Ume and Nezuko sneaked up behind an unobservant Zenitsu, a smile spread across her face. Zenitsu was suddenly covered in water from the girl's water bomb. Inosuke, who had also become somewhat wet, started pursuing and apprehending the girls. Gyotaro had been doing a lot of making things, but at least he wasn't by himself anymore. Nezuko pulled out Inosuke's boarhead and put it on him, causing giggles to break out. Everyone quickly calmed down with Ume, grinning at the deeds. Tamayo had just reported what she had heard from Riska in her tent. Riska stared up at the night sky. So, Muzan caught a S-class nin and ate another one? Interesting. Usually, he avoided nins because they could cause trouble, but if these were missing or wanted nins, no one would care. Tamayo, I'll need your assistance. There are hobgoblins approaching. They are drawn to the nin's power after sensing them. Tomorrow, I will begin my training. My friend, we must be ready for such horrible things. I worry that they might not survive if we don't give them enough training, Riska grinned and said to Tamayo. I'll lend a hand. I can teach them how to use poisons and heal them. Soon, Shinobu and the others should be here. Come, Yushiro, please, Tamayo uttered as she exited the tent. Riska gazed into the darkness, her thoughts heavy, determined not to allow it to happen again. Rainfall. A man wearing a swirl mask was in the room with him as Pain paced the space and there was no word from Hidan, Kakuzu, or Konan. This was discouraging. Toby, locate them. Return them here, Pain commanded. Toby complies with instructions. Toby is good. Toby swirled away to the base of the tower, and Pain said, good, now leave. Finally making his way into the land between the villages here, Toby thought to himself, incompetent fools. I had it all planned out. The ultimate world domination, but these urchins had to screw it up. And now I have to find them so the puppet will work. Damn. As he left the rain village, oblivious to the shadow darting from tree to tree watching him, Toby started to plot and plan until he was suddenly stopped by an unseen force field. A voice, cold and sharp, spoke from behind him. You're the other spy, then. Toby spun around to see a small figure with spiky black hair and cold eyes smiling at him. The grin chilled him, as if he was staring into the eyes of a madman. You act crazy but really aren't, the voice said. Toby started, Toby good. Give it up. You're not a pushover. Madara Uchiha and Obito Uchiha are you. Do I have this right? The figure stepped pit and started to laugh, leaving Toby unable to use his eyes and helpless. How does he know? Who? Toby wondered. I haven't dealt with someone like you in a while. Here, your eyes won't be of any use. As you can see, I own one. The Eye of Jagan. You are helpless against it because it sees everything and is stronger than you are. You must either give up or fight. Toby did something he had never done before. He turned and ran. Either way you die, the man said. Leave now. Indeed. The chase is something I adore. Toby was terrified. Everything was telling him to run and hide, but he never made it very far. He was too busy running to notice the arm sweep out and knock him flat. The figure said. Stop rushing. Now let's fight, the figure uttered. What is it? Who are you? With a look of fear on his face, Toby spoke. Hiei is my name. Madara was trying to unattach himself, but Hiei's eyes stopped that. Toby was left with two options, fight or die. Toby looked sick, but he knew this was it. Remember it as you die as the man you killed the monster that was Toby. Hiei said. This short man thought he could take Toby down, and it shook Toby. You believe that you are capable of fighting. Alright. Toby was searching for a way out but was unable to use any tricks. The Sharingan Eye were helpless. Even if he activated the upper levels of the eye, could he escape? Toby was thinking. I'd hate to waste my time on you if you don't make this fun, Hiei said. Try it out. Make an attempt to flee. Perhaps it's time for you to assume your true form. That will add to the fun, Hiei remarked, causing Toby to burst out laughing. Excellent. You're going to meet the best Uchiha ever. Toby remarked as he started to transform. Soon, Madara appeared enraged, Hiei's ki was suffocating, and Obito was cowering in fear. You believe you can beat me, young lad? I am a Konoha founding member. I defeated the Hokages. You don't exist. Hiei started laughing as Madara pulled out his fan. The original resident of a piece of sh*t village that celebrates scumbags like you and persecutes those who are different. You engaged in combat with men. Your life has long since been sought after, so I don't care about it. My mission is to murder you and destroy the ultimate dream. That's what you want to achieve. To ensnare the world in a never-ending fantasy where their manufactured lives are content. How dull, Hiei remarked, infuriating Madara. You have no right to mock my dream. Hiei grinned, leapt into the air, landed hard on Madara's back, breaking bones as he did so. Madara grunted as he was slammed into the ground, and Hiei smirked as Madara literally ate dirt. Madara said, launching himself at Hiei, Sharingan blazing. Does it taste good, Even though dirt is too healthy for you, Hiei smirked as Madara choked on the dirt, leaving his face covered in scratches and dirt. Madara wondered how he was unaffected because he was staring at me. Hiei then leapt off of Madara, causing Madara to spit out dirt and blood. Stupid. My Tsukuyomi will take advantage of you. Hiei grinned as the world turned black and white, with Madara standing in front of him, and his smile remained unwavering as Madara spoke. What? Why do you not have a bond? The post is where? Madara uttered those words. You attached yourself to it. I wonder what it's like to repeatedly get your body slashed. Did you not want to do that to me? Hiei spoke again, and Madara looked at his hands, which were indeed bound. Kanais then appeared and repeatedly stabbed Madara, causing blood to flow from her mouth. Like I said, I am not controlled by your gaze. Hiei said, taking off his headband, I have the Jagan Eye. Madara was shaking. Yes, he had to use it. A third eye was opening and glowing red in his head. Hiei saw Madara emerge from the post and say, Izanagi. Madara's right eye then returned to normal. No force is more powerful than mine. Madara uttered those words, and Hiei grinned. All of a sudden, Madara felt a strength he had never known before. Hiei snapped his fingers, bringing them back to reality. Madara cried out, his left eye exploding with pain and blood. Fascinating. Your eyes will suffer if I take away your little power. Perhaps we ought to try it again? Or maybe not. It appears that you are not using your Izanagi. Maybe it wasn't the best idea to use it earlier. But you vermin are idiots, smirked Hiei. Madara was suddenly terrified, seeing the terrors that Hidan was instilling in his mind. Hiei's Jagan Eye was pulsating, and he smiled as he pulled his sword. Madara had blood streaming from his clouded eye. No. I'll look after you. I'll work for you. Hiei halted when Madara spoke, and she grinned. Why do you feel that you deserve to be my slave? You smell like piss and fear. Hiei remarked, you are nothing more than a piece of shit that breathes air. Madara charged in, swinging his fan, and Hiei sliced through both the fan and Madara's arm like butter. Madara watched in shock as his arm and fan flew away, thinking it was impossible. "I'm here to kill you, as I stated. It's up to you how you pass away." Madara attempted to make the fireball just you hand sign, but Hiei stopped him as he severed his other arm, leaving Madara terrified. "I can kill quickly or slowly," Hiei said. "Who are you?" Madara uttered those words. "Sent to demonstrate to your leader what occurs when he tries to go too far. Despite being the second casualty, you are among the most significant. Now perish." Then Hiei sliced Madara's body into tiny pieces, save for one, which he put in the bottle he had. He walked to Obito, who was lying in the dirt, and drove his sword into his heart as well, ending Obito's agonizing existence. Hiei said as he drove his sword into Madara's stomach, slicing upwards. Madara died like a pig kneeling in the mud. As he watched Obito's spirit depart, Hiei said, "Rest in peace." He then proceeded to burn Obito's body with his flame until it was completely destroyed. Leaving Madara's remains for the buzzards, Hiei headed west, following Riska's orders to return Obito's soul to the land of the dead and punish whoever had taken it. Having gathered the piece of flesh for Riska, Hiei ran quickly towards the west wall and home. West. Riska, who had always risen early, looked out over the camp. Most people were still asleep. Behind her, Hiko stood, and behind them, Nekuzo, Tamayo, and Yushiro had a different tent, which Yushiro had sealed with blood to keep close during the day. "Where are Tsunade and Jiraiya?" Riska inquired. "Drowsing. We stayed sober," Hiko remarked. "I am aware. The younger ones need to be trained. These hobgoblins are vile and unforgiving. They are coming, but I'm not positive. It seems that eliminating their queen had no effect on them. It made a year for us. Hiko, we're going to need to train them hard and quickly. To deal with a soul thief, I dispatched Hiei. He ought to be back any moment." Riska stated, "As for the other slayers, they should be here tomorrow." Hiko gave her a tender glance and recalled their first meeting. Riska had given so much of herself to protect the world and had asked for nothing in return. It was pitch black, they were lost, and Hiko felt eyes watching them, so he laid Kenshin down on the grass. The monster they had fought had tossed Hiko, Kenshin, Kaoru, and the others out of their own world and into another. Hiko was carrying Kenshin, who was still badly wounded and couldn't walk. Kaoru was trying not to cry. "Excuse me, is your friend in need of assistance?" Hiko saw a woman staring at them with violet eyes. He knew her from legends he had only heard about in his world. A sift voice said, "Riska?" Hiko inquired. "Hiko?" Hiko grasped Riska's hand in surprise, thinking, "I thought you left." Riska should be an elderly woman by now. She must be her daughter or granddaughter. "My name is Riska." "The same as in your early years, Hiko," Riska remarked quietly, leaving Hiko in disbelief. "How? Why do you not reside in the village, too?" Hiko inquired, and Riska gave a somber smile. "Uzu and Nami are no longer there. Now there is nothing but wasteland. There are not many survivors in this situation." Hiko was taken aback when Riska remarked, "Everyone went east but me." "Uzu. Demolished. The cages, what about them? Their households?" Riska said. Hiko spoke. "Those who weren't killed ran away. An ally has killed all of the cages. Nami's destruction occurred when I was outside the village. The rumors that I wanted to use my power to assume the position of cage were the reason I had left. I then walked away. And then there was an attack. Thousands of people killed by fear." Hiko had realized then that Kenshin was critically injured and that Tamayo and Megumi were attending to his injuries as well as the others. He looked at Riska with pained eyes and said, "I will get my revenge, Hiko." "Will you save him if I swear to you with my sword?" Hiko asked, bowing in front of Riska, who was surprised by the gesture. "I have one requirement before I save him. You must all swear allegiance to my cause. To establish and preserve global peace. By doing this, you will gain immortality. Blades have the power to injure you, but they cannot take your life," Riska informed the assembly. "Kenshin too?" Riska nodded as Kaoru softly questioned. "Let's get started. We used to fight for peace, but it led to our expulsion." Megumi stated, "Here we are already cast out. The group nodded. Riska raised her staff, and soon everyone was wearing purple and black rings. Hiko was certain he wouldn't regret making this choice. Close the flashback. Hiko observed the camp waking up as Inosuke, Tanjiro, and Zenitsu emerged from their shared tent, Inosuke slapping his boar's head and starting to run, followed by the others. Suddenly, Riska's sword vibrated, and Riska cast a cold gaze on it. They are present. Get ready for combat. Konoha. Danzo was lying awake, unable to sleep, and his nightmares were getting worse. He dreamed of a glowing-eyed monster ripping off his arm, with the crowd around him chanting, "Ours not yours." Danzo sat up straight, sweating, the pain from that one too real. He looked at the clock, 3 a.m., thinking, damn. I can't go to a regular doctor and all rude doctors are Mia. What to do? Danzo thought, unaware of the eyes that watched him. A figure in the trees outside his house was quiet and still, and he was here to deliver a message. Danzo walked to his little garden to find peace, and as he opened the door, he saw a sight that would turn the stomach of lesser men. His current favorite root Nin was tied to the tree, gutted like a pig. You'll pay for what you did. After reading the message, Danzo felt a chill run down his spine. He had done so much, but this felt like something from the past. Could it be that his plan had been discovered? No, no one knew of it. The destruction of Uzu? No survivors. He had made sure that the last Uzumaki remembered Uzu. Nami? No, he had seen that village burned and destroyed, with no survivors. Minato was lucky, but Madara had made sure that happened. Maybe the kidnapping of the children? Yes, that's it. Perhaps the voice was harsh and cold, laughing into the night. Danzo had done the only thing he could, which was to run into his house and hide in his bed. The laugh was chilling even there. Little man, run, run. I will always see you, so run as far and wide as you can. Please don't attack me, but Madara took Obito's soul and used him as a means of killing him when the rocks collapsed on him. They are present. Get ready for combat. To all of you. There is an attack on us. Hobgoblins, he said. Riska yelled. The ninnies were up in an instant. After grabbing a shuriken and kunai, Naruto ran over to Tsunade and the others. A horde of humanoid creatures was racing in their direction. For further training, Tsunade had sent her Amazons away. Hiko, Riska, Tsunade, and Jiraiya examined the charging group. Learn quickly. Don't show weakness. Instead, target the weak areas. Rip them to pieces. Riska spoke, putting away her long flowing robe. She was dressed in a two-piece combat suit. Power pulsated in her eyes. She was prepared to destroy these creatures. Death to the people. Take out the humans. The abominations moaned. With a voice so frigid that it sent chills down the nin's spines, Riska spoke. Take a life or perish. They won't give you any leniency, so don't give them any. Let's now take out these monsters, said Riska. The hobgoblins were pursued by the slayers and nins. Throwing kunai aside, Naruto removed several of them. All of a sudden, he was using an axe to battle one. He swerved and sidestepped the axe. Naruto needed to use his brains. He had to be able to move quickly in battle. When he saw his opportunity, he struck the hobgoblin in the chest with his kunai. The hobgoblin suddenly spat blood out of its mouth. Hee hee hee, naive young man. Even when I die, you're dead. I have tainted my blood to cause slow, agonizing death to anyone who comes into contact with it. My allies are the same, but they are all poisoned differently. We're going to conquer the world and eradicate all human filth. The hippogriff chuckled. Naruto examined his physique. I'll fight to the death if that's the case. Kyuubi, are you able to help? Naruto inquired. Although I can postpone the poison, this one is unfamiliar to me. Kyuubi answered. After that, Naruto attacked yet another. At that moment, he noticed the battlefield becoming more silent. He turned to see Sakura and Sasuke bleeding profusely and with a few cuts on them. He noticed that the slayers and nins were no longer together. Naruto turned to see Hiko slicing through the attacks with the ease of a butter knife. We must hold on. Naruto pondered. He threw the goblin he was battling aside and stopped another from coming. A chuckle started to spread among all the nins. Now, my fighters take out the humans. Let go of your poisons. The goblin bellowed. The goblins who were battling the ninjas soon started spitting blood at the gullible ninjas. What? Taken aback. Try to stay away from it. With a noise that suggested toxins, Kiba spoke. Then the group started fighting the flood. Riska was hauled out from under the nins. She noticed what was going on when she looked up. I can't lose anyone else, I promise. I must put an end to this. Riska pondered. A sensation of warmth pressed against her back. Open the box, please. A voice said. Riska hastily took the box out and cracked it open. The rings emitted a glow. She put the box down. With the assistance of some goblins that resembled birds, Demi launched an aerial attack. Riska was horrified to see the nins start to lose. The rings were glowing brighter and vibrating more. Riska had a fierce glow in her eyes. Then, with another group of hobgoblins advancing on her, she unsheathed her sword. The sight of the ebony blade with the jade handle caused their eyes to widen. Their expressions were a mixture of hate and fear. Then Riska grinned. You worthless beings, come at me. Your queen perished at the hands of my staff. You will now experience my blade's sting. You'll be joining her shortly, said Riska. A handful of goblins hurried over to finish her off. However, she was prepared to massacre. Forbidden Justu. Cursed soul annihilation, said Riska. Powerful, long, black tendrils extended from the sword and encircled each goblin. Every evil deed and every death the goblins caused came back to haunt them, and they screamed. The goblins' flesh and bone melted away as their tendrils abruptly returned to the blade, their souls now set to live inside the sword forever. The others let out furious yells. After that, Riska cut through the air with her sword, severing 5 of the remaining ones. Upon closer inspection, she saw that the slayers had made it to the nins and were repelling the blood that had poisoned them. The ninjas were not resistant to the poison, but the slayers were. Then Riska turned to greet the others with a smile. She then gave her power her full expression. The goblins trembled with fear as they sensed the power rising. How daring of you to attack my friends. You've signed your warrants of death. You are going to suffer 100 times over for each person you killed. Justu's secret, soul. Destroying bomber. Riska yelled. A massive ball of power encircled Riska's whole body. A red, black, and purple mass soon encircled Riska. Riska then swung the orb upward with her sword. A goblin gave a chuckle. You're playing deceptive. It will kill your little humans in the process. To save them, you won't do us any harm, says the goblin. Riska looked up at the speaker. The goblin started to shake. How icy were those eyes? I have control over my powers, unlike you. Why do you suppose that I drew other people's souls into my sword? Riska spoke as she sent the orb flying toward the group with a downward slash. Abruptly, the sphere started to swallow the group. The orb was getting closer, and the goblins were attempting to escape. Abruptly, hands extended and started seizing the goblins, dragging them inside the sphere. The orb shot upwards as the group was soon engulfed. The last goblins were killed by bone shards and showered in bloody guts as the orb burst in the sky above them. Riska let out a sigh. When she turned to face the box, she noticed the rings were missing. She also observed the nins receiving examinations and sitting up. They are now just like us, you know that? That they are immortal and possess a weapon matching the ring? A voice said. Riska grinned. Yes, I am aware of that. Enjoy the victory for the moment, and I'll let them know when it's time. Has anyone left us? Said Riska. No, a few wounds but no fatalities. Demi is making certain that none remain. Regretfully, Eric, Kahani, and Jack were not present. That sounds like fun. The voice exclaimed. Riska gave a headshake. Soon, she would have to tell the others in front of them, but not right now. Naruto's perspective during combat. Naruto had decelerated. He was becoming ill with the poison. He let out a shout from his side as his knees buckled. Naruto. Stand up. As he arrived at Naruto, Kakashi remarked. Naruto raised his torso. Poisoned, sensei. The blood was contaminated. Naruto spoke haltingly. Kakashi was taken aback. There was poisoned blood in him and the others. Never give up. I'll. As he observed the younger nins plummeting, Kakashi spoke. Horrible poison with a rapid onset. Kakashi pondered. He was feeling strange too. We must hold on. Another collapse for Naruto. Kit. Remain alert. Kyuubi shouted to himself. Tired. Naruto pondered. Abruptly, he felt his finger begin to warm slightly. Naruto felt warm as his eyes closed. He heard a voice speaking to him. Child, do you accept the responsibility of this ring? A voice said. Naruto surveyed his surroundings. It was dark where he was. He yelled. What so you mean? Naruto inquired. You alone have direct acceptance. If not, you and your friends will all perish. Perish? Everything is fine, I'll accept. Said Naruto. Excellent. They will pass for the others, the voice said. Nah. I will not permit it. I promise to save them. Naruto bellowed. The voice said something. Excellent. They'll make it out alive. The knowledgeable person will inform you soon. Wake up. Naruto was startled awake. The face of Tsunade above him. Don't do that again, brat. You were almost lost to us. Stated Tsunade. Naruto grinned and sat up. Sorry. He stated. The Slayers were forcing the blood backward with breathing techniques. Gyotaro was attacking the remaining goblins with his own bloody blows. Everyone was vanquished in a short while. Then, Naruto and the others sensed an extremely potent force and turned to face Riska. She released an orb of power as she sliced downward with her blade. The goblins in the path met a terrible end. Then, a ring appeared on Naruto's finger. Though in different ways, Kiba, Sasuke, Sakura, Ino, Shoka, Sho, Tenten, Lee, and Neji also had in. Naruto's and Tsunade's were comparable. Later, I'll ask Riska. Naruto fainted and staggered all at once. He was caught by Sasuke. He was tired too. The nins looked unusually tired to Tsunade. Tsunade had an antidote stored away for the poison, which was a sleep poison. Possibly as a result of the fight and poison. Riska approached them with calm eyes. Is everyone alright? Riska questioned quietly. Indeed, a couple of cuts. Nothing that a little sleep won't fix. Stated Tsunade. A sweet voice spoke at that moment. Oh no, the fight is over. I really hope to receive some samples. As she got closer to the fighting area, a young lady spoke. Riska grinned. Shinobu, you are earlier than I expected. Said Riska. Softly, Shinobu spoke. Rui's assistance allowed us to move quickly. At night, his webs moved us. Sanemi and Gyome will be here tomorrow because they ran into some issues. Behind me, Muichiro, Mitsuri, and Genya are making sure that none of them made it. Kanao is also assisting with the injured. With her signature smile on her face, Shinobu spoke. Riska gave a nod. As she watched each of the ninjas become unconscious, she became worried. She was aware that this was the result of the ring's ability to adjust to the ninjas. She received a call from Hiko. Riska, are the nins okay? Hiko expressed concern. Yes, they are asleep. Riska spoke quietly. Hiko heard from Shinobu. Master Hiko, hello. Later today, Kenshin, Giyu, and the others will be there. Stated Shinobu. Hiko let out a sigh. I anticipated the same thing. My pupil is really forgetful. Stated Hiko. The nins were soon all asleep in their tents. As Demi touched down next to Riska, she peered out over the plains. They're the others, aren't they? Softly, Demi questioned. Riska said in a quiet voice. Yes, the rings played a role in their selection. We shall soon possess the ability to confront and vanquish all evil. In the interim, we have to teach them how to defeat all evil. Riska spoke, her eyes darting. My house was destroyed. Save for a handful, my family was obliterated. I refuse to allow anyone else to experience what I did. Riska spoke in a chilly tone. Demi was aware of her experiences. There by her side was him. He witnessed her suffering, her acceptance of losing her family and home, and her anguish. Riska had always had a strong sense of self-determination. The Council of Nami sent her on a suicide mission because they thought she would run against her half-brother for the cage position. She was upset but understood when she learned about the mission. Then the conflict started. Uzu and Nami attempted to avoid the situation, but both villages had been devastated by a betrayed coalition. Upon their return, all that remained was death and burning buildings. Riska discovered her sibling, critically injured, and he informed her about the assault. Then, determined to put an end to evil everywhere, she sought assistance from the fabled Soul Queen. She never thought she would become the Soul Queen. She committed to ending all evil in order to exact revenge on her village and family. The few people she had given second chances to were deceived, so they deserved it. Demi had stood by her side against all comers when she had reached her lowest point. He would never forget that she had also given him another chance. Northern Territory. A man reviewed his concepts. Time is on my side. With his eyes cold, he thought. I'm going to rule the world and obliterate everyone who gets in my way. With a chilly grin, the man gave it some more thought. Rainfall. There was pain involved. Both Conan and Toby had vanished. With his robes in hand, a nin charged in. Whose are those? Pain stated icily. Conan's, Hidan, and Kakuru's. The nin declared, they are ripped to pieces. What? Unthinkable. Anguish bellowed. The nin started to tremble. They were found like this, said the nin. Pain stared at the ripped robes and broken rings. After that, they were slain. Set these on fire. Tell Sasori and Deidara to remain where they are until I give them instructions to move. Said with pain, a motionless voice. The nin took the object and walked away. Pain had no idea that it would be too late for them both. Village on grass. Sasori, I want to explode something. Declared Deidara to his friend. We were yoled to stay low. Sasori stated icily. Deidara was knocked back abruptly. Sasori turned to face the oncoming attack. There was a man, his eyes serene. Who are you to attack me? Stated Deidara. The man grinned slowly and thoughtfully. Upon discovering his best root nin killed like a pig, Danzo was still in shock. The ANBU's investigation into the murder is the worst part. Because he had aroused the ANBU's suspicions, he had been prevented from entering his hidden office. He was lodging in a little, deserted house. The door to his office suddenly opened, revealing Shikaku Nara. Lord Shikaku, what can do I for you? Danoi inquired. Work on the waterway project has not yet begun. The supplies were paid for by the Nara and other clans. You were given the project by the Hokage, he said. Icily, Shikaku uttered. Ah, we are now assembling a group. I believe that discretion was necessary because of how closely the group will be working with the clans. Said Danzo. Yes, we expect you to start soon. Shikaku spoke as he approached the door. Danzo was suddenly immobile, and Shikaku shut the door. Shikaku turned cold. Eyed toward Danzo. Keep in mind, Danzo. Despite the village's rejection of those who would have died for it, there are people here who genuinely love it. My spouse had a single child. Since then, she's changed drastically. Instead of shielding them, you jumped on the banishment bandwagon. Said Shikaku. With Danzo freed from the shadow's hold, Shikaku quietly departed. Yes, I'll get on that. Danzo yelled. How much does he know? Normally, he is quiet. Perhaps it was a bad idea to send his son into exile. When that happened, I was too blind to see that the others would depart. Perhaps I could dispatch one of the sleepers to apprehend the Kyuubi brat. I'll then train him to be the greatest weapon ever emotionally detached. Sure, I'll carry that out. But Danzo. Before long, a tiny finch with a message on its leg was soaring westward. Before long, the finch had arrived at a hut near the border. The letter was opened by a cold, emotionless man, who nodded. The finch completed its task and poofed off. After changing into a new outfit, the man leapt over the wall. West. When Hiei arrived at camp, the sun had already set. The fragment of Toby he was holding. Hiei walked over to Riska's tent. As Riska read through a few of her contact's letters, she noticed him approaching because she had lifted the flaps. I've got what you requested. Why do you desire this specific portion of it? Said Hiei. With intent, Riska took the jar from him. Because Madara hid his soul in this area so he could have a second birth. Someone is looking for him because of the crimes he did against humanity. Said Riska. Hiei gave her a glance. So, you wanted a bounty? Said Hiei. Riska grinned. Not in the manner you believe. Madara's soul will serve as a trading piece for me. For the price of one, get two. Since Madara disregarded the rules and took a soul, the person I need to talk to about this is Madara at the top of his list. Said Riska. Hiei grinned. For this weakling, you will thus receive 2 souls back. Said Hiei. Riska grinned and left the tent, moving away from the camp. Hiei followed curiosity alone. They soon found themselves in a remote location with only the setting sun for light. Riska raised her staff and commenced a spell. Hear me, Shingami of possessed souls, and answer my summons. Please come to me and awaken the Shingami who holds the souls of the people listed on the holy paper. Raixa let out a chant. The air grew chilly and opaque. The Shingami soon appeared before Riska and Hiei. Why do you summon me, Queen of Souls? It was the Shingami who spoke. I want to trade for the 2 souls you have inside you. Riska stated, her employees beaming. What is sealed cannot be returned without being replaced. What can you exchange for it? This devil, huh? Shingami inquired. Hiei was a little surprised. Shingami, no. I'd like to trade my soul. Said Riska. A single soul for 2? I'll give you just 1 soul. Stated Shingami. This soul is worth 2. Riska answered. Who is this soul? Inquired Shingami. Riska said, Madara Uchiha. Madara Uchiha is a killer of innocent people. He took a peaceful soul and stole it. Show it to me, stated Shingami. Riska raised the soul fragment. Shingami grinned. I'll grant you both the souls you asked for in exchange for his. He will have to bear an eternity of suffering, stated Shingami. Shingami was thrown the vial by Riska. Then Shingami let out 2 light orbs that flared. One was colored red, while the other was yellow. Riska formed 2 tiny crystals out of the orbs. Thank you, Shingami. Said Riska. Our agreement is finalized. I'm going back now. The Shingami mentioned vanishing. Riska looked over at Hiei. Hiei was in disbelief. You succeeded. However, why Thosia sh*t? Are you going to bring them back to life again? Said Hiei. Riska grinned as she gave him a look. Hiei grinned. It was about to get interesting. Riska returned to the camp, her pouch filled with crystals securely. After entering her tent, she put the crystals in a unique box. She left in silence and without saying anything. The Nins were still mostly asleep. Riska took a seat by the bonfire that Demi had lit. There was a rustle of leaves and Eric and Kahani entered the camp. What took place? There are only the Slayers awake. Kahani inquired. Riska said something quietly. The rings have chosen, Kahani. Said Riska. Kahani gave her a look. So they are the ones that we've been waiting on. With a slight smile on her face, Kahani stated. Someone's sly voice could be heard in the distance. What did I miss? Village in the grasslands. Sasori and Deidara turned to face the man. The man was tall and had a scar running down his face. He had another bigger man behind him. Blood was streaming down Deidara's face. The man with scars grinned. This is Toguro, and my name is Sakio. You are the clay. User Deidara and Sasori of the Red Sand, am I right? Stated Sakio. Deidara said, yeah, you heard of us? From Lord Atsu, indeed. He assists you with specific things. Like the trade in slaves. Stated Sakio. Yes, we do. It provides funding for our group. Stated Sasori. Sakio grinned. As I had anticipated. They are the ones for whom we are here, Toguro. Just before we handed him over to the people for judgment, Lord Atsu mentioned you. Stated Sakio. Toguro grinned. All right. A brawl. Artwork is a firework. Crazy clay pigeon. Throwing his clay pigeons at Toguro, Deidara said. Toguro did not move when the clay pigeons struck him. An enormous blast burst forth from the assault. Ha 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 ha. My work is amazing and beautiful. Die now. Deidara growled. Sasori let out a sigh. After the smoke cleared, Toguro was left standing unharmed. He gave Deidara a quick glance while wearing a thin smile. Surprised was Deidara. Sasori maneuvered his puppets into combat. When Toguro spoke, his opponents felt shivers down their spines. My turn. West. Riska observed the slayers and other individuals moving through the camp. She peered up at the sky's moon. She could carry out the ritual when it was brightest and highest. She was aware that Madara was to blame for Kyuubi's rage, but who had betrayed her village when they made the decision to pursue peace. She was going to pass away, and after that, they would wish to die. Naruto appeared as a tent flap opened. Riska? Did I nod off? Said Naruto. Indeed. The battle was challenging. Said Riska. Naruto gave her a glance. The nins were soon all awake. They all exchanged glances before Boruto turned to face his hand and felt something warm encircle his middle finger. A little fox head on an orange and red ring. He saw that each one of them had a ring on it. Gazing at Riska, his eyes were blazing. You are aware of these rings, aren't you? Why did we all fall asleep and why are they on us? We have fought through worse conflicts than this one without dying, said Naruto. Naruto! Exclaimed Riska. Don't tell me lies. How did you proceed? Like everyone else, you want to use us as weapons of mass destruction, don't you? Naruto bellowed. Nah. It was your decision to make. All of you were chosen by the rings. Riska spoke in a firm voice. Rings don't choose people. Naruto became enraged. These work. These rings are not your typical ones. The Sage of Six Paths was not yet born when these rings were forged. Said Riska. What do you mean? Naruto inquired. Those endowed with powers by the heavens existed before the wall, before the Sage of Six Paths, and before the East and West were two distinct nations. These were the world's guardians, but the temptations of power and greed overcame them very quickly. The abilities were put to bad use. The final guardian used the last of the powers used to forge the rings. The man cast them into the soul fire crystal to prevent them from becoming evil's weapons. They would never be able to obtain the rings unless one of them managed to shatter the soul fire crystal. The rings also possess souls. They made a vow to only choose people who genuinely cared for the defenseless and weak people in the world as time went on and they saw the evils of mankind. You were chosen by them. Everyone among you. Said Riska. So they chose us, why? Naruto inquired. Because they see right through a person's soul. Not the physical body. There are a few more things you need to be aware of. You will be bestowed with both weapons and abilities by these rings. When the bonding is finished, they themselves will let you know. Said Riska. And the other? Stated Sakura. Riska swallowed as everyone stared at her. You're immortal. Riska was regarded by the nins as though she had just informed them that they had excrement on their faces. Are you telling lies? Nobody is ever truly immortal. Says Sakura. No, Sakura. I'm telling the truth. All of you were chosen by these rings. You become immortal with this ring because you are its master. In my current state, said Riska. With his blue eyes, Naruto glared at her. So we're not going to die? Even in the event of a heart stab? Head severed? Annihilated? Naruto inquired. All of that is not possible. If you exhaust yourself, you can sustain injuries but not die. Demi, take them to court, said Riska. With his claws fully extended, Demi struck Riska's exposed neck. Just as the nins were about to scream, Demi's claws came into contact with a shield. Naruto let out a gasp. Observe? For those of you over 21, the aging process has ceased, and you will cease aging at that point. Though you already know, I wanted to tell you in a more subdued manner. Said Riska. What does this mean, do you know? The way we have been hurt can no longer be the way others hurt others. We're going to take on the role of world guardians. Said Naruto. Riska grinned upon hearing this. Maybe we can ward off evil and preserve the world's innocence. Riksa pondered. Naruto's ring abruptly began to glow. Hey, let's see everybody's ring, stated Sakura. Sakura displayed her stunning pink silver ring, which had a flower in the center. Ino wore a lotus flower on an icy blue ring. Hinata's had green vines and a red rose. Little poppies surrounded Tenten's thistle. Sasuke displayed his ring, a jet black ring featuring the head of a raven. Shino displayed his ring, which had a bee's head and was gold and black. Kiba revealed a dire wolf's head on a dull gray background. Shikamaru muttered and revealed the ring, which had red eyes and was gray and black in color. Shoji displayed a large monarch butterfly in the center of an orange, black, and yellow ring. Lee proudly displayed his dark brown horse with a black mane. Neji displayed his most recent, which had a tiger's head and black and white stripes. Fantastic. I'm curious about the capabilities, stated Sakura. The group started conversing. Naruto turned to face Kakashi, who was standing apart. He saw a ring with a raven, fox, and pink flower on it. He strolled over to Riska. What did you mean earlier when you said those over 21 are not going to age? Said Naruto. You guys made the decision to save your friends when it came to the rings. You and the others wanted to save the others, to save those who did not receive the rings. The people they are connected to are symbolized by the rings. In addition to having powers, secondary rings are also immortal. Said Riska. Naruto grinned. I apologize for the earlier. I simply didn't want to be viewed as a tool or weapon by those who are avaricious. Said Naruto. Riska touched his shoulder with her hand. I never thought of you as a tool. Only little men who are insecure and shallow do that. With her purple eyes fixed on Naruto's blue ones, Riska spoke. In her eyes, Naruto saw only truth. He grinned once more. These, kid, aren't like the rest. They have also experienced great suffering and loss. Stated Kyuubi. Gazing beyond the camp, Naruto saw Inosuke attempting to incite a fight with Lee. Fight me. Stated Inosuke. Lee was somewhat surprised. Not at all. I fight only those who oppose me. But I will spar with you nonetheless. Stated Lee. Inosuke displayed curiosity. Spar? Inquired Inosuke. He intends for them to battle but not to harm or kill one another. To evaluate one's skills. Neji stated. Inosuke leapt to his feet. Let's do it, stated Inosuke. They made their way to the practice area. Tanjiro had taken Inosuke's swords. Lee was extending. Guy would act as the go-to person to make sure they stayed within reason. Guy said, start. Inosuke tried to grapple with Lee as he ran towards him. Lee grinned. Indeed. Let's fight. As Inosuke came closer to Lee, Lee swung his leg outward, saying as Inosuke ran at him. Inosuke leapt into the air with haste. Lee arrived at Inosuke's place. Inosuke was giggling uncontrollably. This is fun. As he ducked one of Lee's kicks, Inosuke spoke. Lee whirled around, striking Inosuke's boar head with his fist. Lee and Inosuke touched down on the earth. How did you twist like that in the air? Inosuke inquired. Guy Sensei is a Taijutsu expert. I am his pupil. Naturally, I could have hurt you if I had removed my weights. Stated Lee. Inosuke removed his boar head and gave Lee a startled look. You are wearing weights and you can move that fast. Stated Inosuke. Lee turned to face Inosuke. To build up my muscles and stamina. Stated Lee. Inosuke moved to his swords and took a seat. If you want, we can teach you all some of our skills and you can teach us a few of yours. Said Naruto. That's a great idea. Stated Tanjiro. Before long, every young person was chatting and making plans. Jack, silent up until this point, said something. I followed your request. Their daimyo is now in charge of the Sand Village. The cage was incredibly helpful. With a ghost of a smile, Jack spoke. Riska gave him a quizzical look. And the other? Riska inquired. Jack grinned while he talked. Finished. One eye is genuinely afraid. Like a bitch, he ran. Said Jack. Demi laughed. You ought to have applied your ancestry to him. In any case, somewhat. Demi said to Riska. No, that would be too giving. He must endure suffering and plead for pardon. Risha spoke in a chilly tone. Demi and Jack exchanged a quick glance. You think he was involved in the destruction of the villages, don't you? Demi inquired. I want him to suffer, but I think he has something to do with it. He has ruined a great deal of lives, especially in the West, said Riska. Demi gave a nod. The group had become comfortable as the younger ones conversed. Village grassland. My turn. Didera trembled. The man was not even scratched by his strongest attack. Sasori took out his salamander and black ant puppets. You are nothing against my puppets. As he called for 100 puppets, Sasori spoke. Toguro grinned. You then employ puppets. It should be sufficient to use 10% of my strength, stated Toguro. Sasori's gaze expanded. You mean you weren't even powered up as my attack hit you? Stated Didera. Be thankful that I'm using my strength to oppose you. Like you, I usually just kill scum, but today I'm in the mood for some fun, stated Toguro. Sasori grinned. You believe that you can handle every one of my puppets? Rethink your thoughts. As he released his 100 puppets, Sasori remarked. With a sneer, Toguro cracked his knuckles. On Toguro, the first wave descended. Toguro struck the puppets as if they were just airborne feathers. The first wave was dispatched with 2 blows. With a frown, Sasori sent out another wave. At that time, too, Toguro destroyed. Sasori sent his puppets to Toguro twice more, but each time they were destroyed. The phrase, Black Ant Attack, was used by Sasori. Toguro was attacked by the black ant puppet that moved forward. The black ant released senbons, and Toguro grinned. When the needles struck Toguro, Sasori smirked. Well, that's it from you. There is poison in these needles. You'll pass away soon, stated Sasori. Toguro burst out laughing. Its sound alarmed Didera and Sasori. Needles only work if they pierce the skin. As Toguro flexed his arms, needles started to protrude. Sasori was taken aback. Black Ant moved to attack Toguro, but one blow turned him into sticks of wood. Sasori was enraged. Salamander, let's move on. Didera, hurry up. Let's go, stated Sasori. He had to leave to tell Pain of the warriors from the west. After entering Salamander, Sasori was attempting to flee. Salamander's body broke apart in an instant. Our work is not finished. You come out short. As he reached in and took Sasori, Toguro spoke. He extracted Sasori from the wrecked puppet. On a clay bird, Didera had leapt into the sky. Good, he's focused on Sasori, I can get away, stated Didera. Didera did not see Black Annie's remains being tossed into his bird. Didera was thrown off balance and landed on the floor. Oomph. As he pounded into the earth, Didera spoke. Sasori was having trouble with Toguro. Didera was in too much shock to react. Sasori was unable to stop Toguro. With a backhand, Toguro broke Sasori's wooden body into pieces. He reached in and yanked out the steel cylinder. Sasori's wooden body collapsed to the floor. Sakio received the cylinder from Toguro. Just as Didera was about to give up, Toguro approached him. Remain back. I'll totally destroy you. Here, I'm going to kill everyone, stated Didera. Why haven't you done that then? Stated Toguro. Because of your weakness. You are a tiny, unimportant germ that no one is concerned about. With his foot pressing down on Didera's chest, Toguro spoke. Didera heard the pressure cause the bones to crack. His hands were pointed at Toguro. When Toguro saw the mouths, he realized that Didera had made his play with them. Well, we can't have any on those nasty explosive attacks, can we? Saying that, Toguro grabbed Didera's arms and tore them off entirely. Didera's arms were severed, and he roared in agony. Didera turned to face Toguro, pain shining in his eyes. Toguro gave him a look before stomping on his chest and shattering all of his ribs. Didera realized why Pain no longer ventured west. Before Toguro killed him by flicking his finger at Didera's head, the latter gave him one last glance. Toguro turned to face Sakio. Go away from him. Make sure the body is burned and the heart is torn out. Return it to the east after wrapping it in his cloak. Toguro heard Sakio say. Grabbing the cloak, Toguro tore out Deidara's heart. He pierced it with a scroll and fastened Deidara's ring finger to it. He sealed the bundle in a unique scroll after wrapping it. After that, he stacked Sasori's and his puppets' remains and set them on fire. Since then, the village has been relocated to the valley's furthest point. Before long, a blazing bonfire was high and bright. Sakio and Toguro observed it until it vanished, leaving only bones. Sakio took a look at his canister. I wonder what made him turn that way. Discarding his human form in order to do this? Sakio inquired. Perhaps he aspired to be greater than he was, but Lycus got lost along the way. Stated Toguro. With the embers still burning and a wrapped package waiting for the nin that was 2 hours too late, the two left the village. Konoha. Being back at his house made Danzo happy. His house was now being watched by the nin watch. Danzo would have to move cautiously forward. Happy that the investigation was over, he went to bed. In his sleep, he was awakened by the sight of two red eyes, tears streaming from the tear ducts. Why? UABITURIZEDUS. Yes, we will get our revenge. Perish. With their hands ripping into Danzo's face and arm, the voices spoke. They were attempting to remove the eyes he had taken. No. Mine. While sleeping, Danzo said. The nin on guard weren't even close to Danzo's residence. Danzo spent the entire night in agony. Village in sand. Not content was the cage. When Demio found out that the council had sold One Tails and his family to slave traders, he became enraged. The Demio had curtailed the council's budget and virtually all of its rights. The Demio appointee would be in charge of the nin operations. It would be an understatement to say they were going to be in deep shit for a while. Demio also made sure to inform the village that although Konoha was a trading partner, they were free to set their own prices for the goods and maintain their tariffs. The Chunin exams were postponed for everyone this year because two villages could not send teams, which infuriated the cage. The raven hovering so close to him was something he was unaware of. Village in the north. The man surveyed his community. I'm going to become the emperor and have all the nations submit to me soon. Then I'll travel to the west and defeat it as well. I'll become a god. While observing a blacksmith sharpening blades, the man pondered. He would soon take up a blade once more and reclaim his rightful place as emperor of the world. West. Riska strolled over to a spot she had reserved in advance. The two shrouded bodies were arranged side by side and between the runes. She arranged the orange crystal on one side and the yellow crystal on the other. She spoke, directing power into her staff. Let this work be done by the warmth of the sun and the light of the moon. Souls, return to your bodies in life and awaken knowing all that has transpired since you last breathed. Riska let out a chant. Before the crystals entered the shrouded bodies, they glowed brightly. The shrouds were burned away to reveal a man and woman as the souls entered the bodies. They were breathing air again soon, and their skin began to turn a warm pink color. Simultaneously, the two awoke and sat upright. Riska spoke, grinning. Welcome back, Minato and Kushina. Minato questioned out loud, how? We were in Shingamu's stomach. Did the nine tails break free? Riska gave him a swift kick to the head. Wwwww. Oh, Riska, it's you. Wait, you brought us back, didn't you? Said Minato. Riska chastised, yes, you were foolish to use a death seal in that manner. Well, I had to think of something. Konoha was in danger of being destroyed. Minato replied. Riska arched an eyebrow at what he said. Kushina asked, why aren't we in Konoha? Riska raised her staff high. All of the incidents from Naruto's earlier years were displayed as it glowed. As Minato watched his son exiled, he remained silent. Kushina was indignant. Kushina cried, those bastards. Minato remained silent. The village betrayed him because he has the nine tails. I never meant for him to be. I was a fool, said Minato. Riska said softly. You did what you believed to be right. The village was taught to fester hatred and fear against Naruto. I believe Danzo was responsible for most of it. Riska stated. Kushina was furious. Kushina clenched his teeth and uttered, I will kill that Sari. No. His life belongs to others. You two are going to have to stay here for the night until your bodies have adjusted to having the soul back. Riska responded. Until tomorrow? Asked Minato. Riska replied, yes, I'll explain to the others. Minato questioned, do they know about your powers? As Riska created a safety barrier to allow Minato and Kushina to rest, she remarked, of course they do. Minato spoke, Riska. Thanks. Riska grinned and said, you're welcome. I couldn't let my family member be in the abyss forever now, could I? She shut the gate, keeping everyone out. Demi materialized as she made her way back to camp. Sakio and Toguro have dealt with the two targets they were after and they have something of interest. The red sand puppeteer Sasori is still alive although he has no body. Maybe he can be questioned? Demi responded. Riska was contemplative. As Riska made her way to her tent, she remarked, yes, I believe that this Sasori will require a special interrogation. Maybe he will reveal what his leader's grand scheme is. After taking a seat, she read a letter. Queen. It is what you had anticipated. To attack the Nins, the One Eye has sent some sleeper root into the fray. In a day, they should arrive at the destroyed fortress. Would you like me to deal with them? Kenichi. P.S. Greetings from the masters of Ria Zanpaka. After reading the note, Riska wrote a hasty response. Kenichi. Try your best to put an end to the root Nins. Nothing is off limits. Inform the masters that I will be coming with some friends in the near future. Riska. Riska penned and mailed the letter. Demi said something. Demi questioned, you think that Sasori will talk to you? As a human, no. But as a soul, he won't have a choice. Sasori has information and we needed to see what this leader has planned for the world. And once he talks, we will know the plan and be able to counteract. Riska replied softly. Demi gave a quiet nod. Riska was correct. As word got out that the outlaws were attempting to construct a perfect world above the wall, Itachi and Kisame came prepared with all the knowledge they possessed. West. A month following Sasuke's comeback. While Sasuke, Sakura, and Naruto were training with Kakashi, they became aware of an observer. Kakashi said, feel that? Sasuke replied, yeah, someone's watching. Some kunai were flung into the trees by Naruto. The two hiding there blocked them. Itachi? What are you doing here? If you are after Naruto, you'll have to go through us. Kakashi responded. Itachi raised his hands in surrender. I have come to the west because my job is finished in the east. Itachi replied. Coldly, Sasuke remarked, job? Killing our clan wasn't enough. Sasuke, I was entrusted with the safety of Naruto and you. I killed some of our clan but not our parents. Father found out that some of the Seikon were going to stage a coup and ordered them dealt with. As In was finishing up the job, I walked in on our parents slaughtered. Mother told me to protect you and the others always. I did what I did to make you hate me so those who killed our family wouldn't kill you. I know it's too late to ask for forgiveness but I would like the chance to be your brother again. Itachi continued. Sasuke gave Itachi a look. Then he approached him and gave him a savage hug. Sasuke asked, why didn't you tell the Hokage? I had no proof Abed the word was already given. I spied for Jiraiya from then on. Kisame came with me. Itachi replied. Itachi threw up abruptly, doubling over in pain. Itachi! Exclaimed Sasuke. Kisame uttered words. That dreadful illness, Kisame muttered. Blood was seen on Itachi's hand by Sasuke. Kakashi grabbed Itachi under his good arm and jumped towards the camp, saying, Itachi, let's get you to Lady Tsunade. Maybe she can help. Or Lady Riska. Laying Itachi down on a bed, Kakashi said, Lady Tsunade, got a patient for you. Tsunade said, her hands glowing, Kakashi, this is Itachi. What happened? Kakashi informed her of the events. Says Tsunade, disease? Doctor back east said it was incurable. That was last year. Said Kisame. I'm sensing it. It's not curable by chakra healing but a skilled surgeon who knows how to treat this can cure him. Tsunade replied. Itachi was sleeping now that his coughing had stopped. When Tsunade emerged from the tent, Sasuke was already there. Sasuke uttered, "Is he? He is very sick. I need to talk to Riska and see if she knows someone who can help." Tsunade responded. Riska was observing some of the children sparring when she walked over. "Riska, do you know anyone who can do very delicate operation on the lungs?" replied Tsunade. Riska questioned, "Why do you ask?" Tsunade informed her about Itachi and her revelation. Yes I do. He is an excellent doctor. Abid specializes in difficult operations." Riska replied. Tsunade let out a sigh. "How soon can he be here, because the more we wait, the worse Itachi gets?" Tsunade replied. Riska grinned. "He showed be here in 2 days. I actually sent for him about a week ago." Riska replied. Tsunade cast an arched eyebrow. "I'm going to have him check Jiraiya after I release the spell, so he should be here soon." Riska replied. Tsunade remarked, "Good. I didn't know the West had such a doctor. You should know who I'm talking about. He was a renowned doctor in the East until he wouldn't harvest a boy's heart to save an evil man. You actually treated some people with him." Tsunade asked, "You mean he made it here?" "Yes. Now let's go see what these newcomers have to say about this outlaw group." Riska replied. Final flashback. Kisame disclosed all of Pain's plans to him. With Tsunade's assistance, Black Jack, the physician, promptly began treating Itachi. He cut out the diseased flesh, and Tsunade used chakra to mend the wounds. The following morning, Itachi awoke without any respiratory issues. Before training, he gave his body time to heal and adjust. He was growing stronger and was as strong as he was before the illness claimed him. Riska grinned and went to sleep in her tent. Konoha. The Hokage was staring at Danzo once more. Setsui was enraged. "You sent a messenger to Suna without my permission. Do you think that you can just overstep my authorization? Jonin or not, you are told what to do by me. As punishment, the marriage is cancelled and you will receive some education on how to obey the law. Ibiki has already been notified of your stay with him. 48 hours should be fine," Setsui raged. Danzo parted his lips in an attempt to get out of this punishment. "Hokage, I was only trying check on a shipment of supplies from Suna, nothing more. I didn't think that my messenger would get caught going where she shouldn't go. I am truly sorry," Danzo replied. Setsui addressed the big bear. Like man, saying, "It's done. Ibiki, teach Danzo lessons on obeying the laws and what happens when you don't." Danzo was about to turn on his acid, but changed his mind. Iniki was hauled out by 2 helpers. Setsui said, "Ibiki, only use psychological torture on him." Ibiki grunted viciously and said, "Of course, Hokage." Danzo was led to Ibiki's section of the IT department and given a hood over his head. Then Danzo was placed in a dark cell. Danzo laughed at the therapy. "Wait a moment. I'll exact my revenge." Danzo pondered. Abruptly, the door flew open, and Ibiki emerged holding a rather unappealing syringe. Ibiki said, "Grab him, boys." He seized Danzo firmly by the shoulders. He neglected to remember that using chakra was forbidden in these cells, rendering his assets useless. The men pushed Danzo to his knees. "Now, Danzo, a little something Lady Tsunade made for me. Never tried it out, but I guess now is the best time." Ibiki replied. Danzo joked, "What is it supposed to do? Make me laugh?" Iniki muttered, "No, Danzo, it's going to make you scream," as the syringe was inserted into Danzo's arm. After Danzo experienced a sharp pain, darkness overcame him. Danzo mindscap. It occurred to Danzo that it was in his head. The ghosts of the past returning to torment him. He was being torn apart by heartless women. Danzo was attempting to get away. He was repeatedly being stabbed by armed men. He was crying out because he was getting stab wounds in his arms where his eyes were. Danzo kept running, but there was nowhere to go. Then he understood that the drug was the one that had imprisoned his self. Consciousness in his head. For however long the drop lasted, that was how long he could evade the attacks. Danzo cell in real time. Ibiki observed the elderly Dick drooling over himself. For 48 hours, the drug imprisoned the user inside their own body. Ibiki Jad reserved that agony for his visitor. Ibiki laughed and said, "Lock the door, boys. He ain't going nowhere." To Ibiki, the sound of the metal clanging was soothing. Setsui gave Karbi a smile. "Thank you for telling me about the Suna messenger. I have already sent word to Suna that they are no longer a nin of Konoha." "You did well," Setsui replied. "I only did as needed. Tetra and I are very happy and we owe that to you, Hokage." Karbi replied. Karbi was given a bag of money by the Hokage. Setsui said, "A reward." Karbi turned to walk away. Knowing the torture Ibiki had in store for the elderly fart, Setsui grinned. The following day, West. Riska and Demi were conversing when a pair emerged. Riska grinned as they got closer to them. "Hello, my lady. We have returned with an item of great interest." Sakio replied. Riska replied, "Yes, please let me see it." Sakio produced a long cylinder of metal. Riska put her hand around it and felt its soul. She had a sly smile on her face. Riska exclaimed, "Now I get to have some fun." She approached her tent while holding the cylinder in her hand. Demi and Jack trailed behind. "Jack, make sure that no one bothers me for a while. I have something that I need to do." "Demi, come with me," Riska responded. Jack understood what she meant, and he grinned. After the tent was shut, Riska chanted words that were incomprehensible to the average man. The scene transformed from the tent into a purple and black throne room. Riska occupied a black throne adorned with gemstones that pulsed purple. A black metal crown set with purple stones throbbed in time with the throne atop her head. Riska said, "Come forth, soul." The soul of Sasori emerged from the cylinder. Sasori tried to use his chakra and said, "So, you are the one responsible for destroying my body. No matter what, I'll simply take yours." When Sasori was unable to use it, he was surprised. Souls cannot use chakra as chakra has to be bound to something. Your body is technically alive but your soul is separated from it, making chakra useless. Riska said with purple eyes. The demo moved to the right. Sasori came to the realization that this was not the real world. I think he has caught on that he is no longer on the same plane of existence. Demi responded. Riska gave him a look. Now, for everyone whose lives were taken or destroyed by you, I will personally deal out that punishment. Unless they cry for mercy for you. Riska concluded. That's when Sasori felt a chill run down his spine. Riska just sat there, grinning coldly. Let's get started, Risha said. Sasori looked up to see his parents standing there. Sasori uttered, "Mother, father." The ghosts wept. "How could you? You killed us," exclaimed Mother. "No," Sasori said, "the war killed you." "No, you killed our souls. You turned us into killing machines," Father responded. Sasori turned his cold eyes on Riska. Riska sat motionless as Sasori rushed her, saying, "You bitch." Sasori was suddenly impaled by Riska's sword. Sasori's gaze lowered to the sword. Sasori didn't notice that Riska had moved so quickly. Riska spoke, her words sounding as cold as ice. "You forgot one thing, soul. This is my domain. You are a soul without a body. And you dare attack me?" Then Sasori sensed the power growing, and with it came a paralyzing fear. Sasori let out a scream as Riska tore the sword from his body. Then Riska stood above him, her eyes icy. "Your punishment has only just begun, little soul," Riska said, driving a staff into Sasori's soul. If Sasori had a body, he would have soaked himself from fear. Her strength surpasses that of the freak that ripped my wooden body to pieces. Who is she? As Sasori lay pinned to the floor, he thought. He had never encountered an opponent like this, so he was genuinely afraid. Now he was weak and helpless. That's when Sasori realized something. Did Pain say never to travel west? Are these the fighters from the west? If so, what makes them so powerful? Sasori pondered. Riska grabbed Sasori and ripped him off the staff, saying, "Your fear was so thick I can smell it in the air. Now, let me show you what a real warrior can do." Sasori let out a scream as an unbearable pain tore through him. Now he was shaking with fear. Riska grinned once more. Riska walked over to Sasori and tore off his arms one by one, saying, "You aided in the destruction of so many, yet you can take a little pain. Ha 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 ha. What a joke you are. Puppet master? No, just a little maggot playing with toys." As his arms were severed, Sasori let out another cry of pain. After putting them down, Riska sat on Sasori's chest. Sasori was meowing like a baby because he was so terrified and shocked. Then Riska grabbed his eyes. Riska dove her hand into Sasori's left eye and ripped it out, saying, "I'll take these too. You won't need them." She then tore out the other eye, and the cries of agony became louder. Now, Sasori roared in agony. Riska put his arms around him. Riska turned and walked away from Sasori, saying, "If you can find your eyes in this plane before your mortal body dies, you can go free. If not, you will remain locked here forever." As Sasori walked away, she heard nothing. As he started to feel around for his eyes, Sasori thought to himself, "I'll find my eyes and then I'll kill you." Actual world. Demi turned to face Riska. "Why didn't you kill him? If he finds his eyes, he'll go free." Demi replied. Riska grinned. "I did say if he found his eyes as long as his mortal body is alive. Seeing as his mortal body has now become his soul body, he'll have plenty of time." Riska replied. Demi asked, "So he'll find his eyes?" Once more, Ryaka flashed her icy grin while removing 2 gory eyes from a sack. Riska tossed the bag to Demi and said, "Now, how is he going to find them there when I have them here? Send them to the east. I have a warning for this Pain." He sent a nin to warn Deidara and Sasori to stay out of sight, and Pain was waiting for them. Pain was forced to postpone recruiting new members in the absence of Conan. Pain's office was invaded by a nin. Pain said, "Speak. We've been informed that Sasori and Deidara have lost. This was given to us." Said the nin. Deidara's long, dead heart and Sasori's cloaks were visible when Pain opened the package. Owen's complexion went white. Who could have killed Sasori and Deidara? Pain thought. The heart started beating suddenly. "What the?" Pain expressed. Deidara spoke with heartfelt emotion. "Your fault. You killed me. You are doomed." The voice of Deidara said. The heart started beating more quickly and was starting to solidify. Pain left the room as soon as he realized Deidara's suicide was justified. The majority of the Tiur was destroyed along with the entire top floor of the office. "Art is an explosion," was shouted to the people observing. Pain was taken aback. In less than a year, all of his members had left. What kind of warriors existed in the West? Was he the next one? Pain was furious. His dreams and plans are gone. Not vanished, no. Just a little off. I'll assemble the beasts with tails. Pain thought. A figure was observing him closely. His directive was to return this one alive. Hopefully a swift one given Kurama's poison, but not an easy one. Pain turned and left the fire and devastation to his nins. Pain was leapt after by the figure. Pain soon arrived at a large trunk tree. Anguish crept in. As Pain approached a figure with spears protruding from his back, the figure looked on. Nagato raised his gaze to Pain. "My friend, it appears that you were correct. That my dream would never come true. You and Yahiko both had hallucinations. I'm glad Yahiko passed away and gave his body to me. It would be helpful to me if you would simply pass away. Because if I kill you, I won't be able to take your power." Pain expressed. Aware that the figure was there, Nagato looked up at him. Pain chuckled. "Ah, Nagato. After I killed your friend, you turned to face me, and the spears I put inside of you gave me a small amount of your power." Pain expressed. With icy red eyes, Nagato raised his head. "I'll exact my retribution. For Yahiko and everyone else you've taken lives from." Nagato uttered harsh words. Pain chuckled. Nagato tugged at the shackles securing him. "The salamander is not fond of threats, silly boy. So shut up and be a good puppet." Slapping Nagato, Pain said. The figure had had enough. "It takes a big man to attack a chained prisoner," the person stated. Pain spun to confront the figure. Grinning, the figure emerged from the shadows. And you are you, maggot? Pain inquired. I'm Yusuke Urameshi, said Yusuke. Nagato's head came up. Someone from the west here? Nagato pondered. Pain chuckled. You, a weakling, are going to fight me? My paths will probably have some amusement. Pain grinned. Yusuke said, bring it on. West. Riska had entered the camp with two figures covered in cloaks. With everyone gathered around her, she was grinning. I'll let them take off their cloaks and allow them to introduce themselves to you, said Riska. With their cloaks off, the two made Minato and Kushina visible. Kakashi was taken aback. At first, unable to speak, Naruto turned to face his parents. Minato uttered, Naruto. Tears filled Naruto's eyes. Kushina remained silent. With tears streaming down his cheeks, Naruto embraced his parents. Naruto said, you're really here. Are you able to pardon us? We never intended to cause you any harm. Minato stated. Hokage was what you were. You also fulfilled your obligations. You have my forgiveness for that, said Naruto. Minato gave Kakashi a look. Sensei. Kakashi got going. Minato gave him a quick shoulder clap. Kashi, there's nothing you need to forgive. You did your best to keep Naruto safe, Minato stated. Jiraiya turned to face his pupil. Minato. In so many ways, I let you and Kushina down. I ought to have spent more time with Naruto. I apologize, stated Jiraiya. Avoid being. You were sent on a 12-year mission by the third. Maybe he believed it to be the best. As Minato put it, Kushina was occupied in conversation with Kurenai and Anko, who had been childhood best friends. As the others gathered around, Riska grinned. Her staff suddenly glowed. After checking into it, she discovered that Pain was holding Nagato captive and that Yusuke needed assistance. Anyone would need some time to travel there. Riska looked over at Minato. Minato, do you want to give the nations a shock? Konoha. Cell Danzo. Danzo had been in the cell for the past 48 hours. Ibiki unlocked the door and punctured Danzo with a different syringe, removing the medication. Danzo opened his eyes and felt alert. Ibiki? Said Danzo. When you've cleaned up, Hokage wants you to come to his office. Your screams were like angelic music to my ears. Now leave, said Ibiki. Danzo hurried back to his house. He headed for the bathroom as soon as he got inside. He swiftly showered and headed out to meet the Hokage. Gazing at Danzo, Setsui was positioned behind the desk. How are you doing? Did you learn what Ibiki taught you, or do you require more instruction? Setsui stated. I will get my revenge for everything you have done to me, and I say, I understand everything. All right. Go now and supervise the infrastructure department. Multiple new requests have reportedly been received. Setsui stated. Yes, Hokage, said Danzo. Danzo stormed out, his mind ablaze. He needed to leave Konoha, but sound had not responded to him. By now, his spy ought to have made it there. Filing after filing, he walked into his office. Time is on my side. I'm able to wait. With a gleam in his eye, Denizo thought. West. What do you mean? Minato inquired. Riska described her observations. And you need me to help fight? Minato inquired. Not at all. Yusuke can handle this fight, so I need you to get Demi there quickly. While I was there, I wanted to send a message to Danzo, said Riska. Minato grinned. You desire that I appear in public places in Konoha. Simple. I hid them and carved just you everywhere. Making appearances will therefore be simple, but do you own a fox mask? Minato inquired. Demi came up with one. Why the mask, sensei? Kakashi inquired. Let's make use of their belief that the fox is pursuing them. I'll just frighten the ass wipes and avoid the clan houses. Minato stated. Riska grinned. Minato gave his family a quick hug before grabbing Demi and running off. Riska grinned, wishing she could see the expressions on the faces of the Konoha traders when Minato walks up to them. Country of Fire. It was Minato near Konoha. Demi referred to his wings. In an hour, I will meet you here. After that, we're going home. I'm eager to hear the tales behind your performance. Flying off, Demi said. With hard eyes, Minato turned to face the village. Konoha, I was ready to spend all of eternity in prison to protect you. You are all dark-hearted bastards, which is why my son was mistreated and banished. It's going to be enjoyable. Rainfall. You identified as Salamander. Pain is probably a nickname. Yes, I have a gift for you. As he threw a bloody bag at Pain, Yusuke spoke. Pain unzipped the bag to reveal Sasori's 2 red eyes. Glaring at Yusuke was Pain. Pain questioned, you killed him? Not at all. He passed away in the distant past. Said Yusuke. Anguish spoke of just you. 6 paths of pain. Awaken. Pain expressed. Yusuke saw 6 bodies appear in front of him. Just 7? Simple, said Yusuke. Diva Path launched its attack first. By dodging and punching the path, Yusuke broke its neck. But the path cracked its neck back into position. The chakra links must be broken by you. The links are the piercings. Nagato yelled. Yusuke noticed the dark specks on them. So, managed dead, huh? You know, I've already faced a monster just like you. He had to learn the hard way not to aggravate me. Shotgun. Yusuke spoke, hurling tiny light balls onto the pathways and exerting forceful blows to the punctures. His chakra lines snapped and Pain roared. Spirit Gun X6. With every blow, Yusuke destroyed the paths, saying. Then Pain made the decision to strike. Almighty push. Pain expressed, but nothing materialized. Pain exclaimed, what? I also cut the prisoner's lines with my shotgun. Basically, you can't use any attack that uses the prisoner's energy if you're not feeding off of his. You come out short. Yusuke smiled and said. Senbon in Yusuke's neck prevented Pain from charging him. Yusuke uttered the words, night. Night, as Pain passed out. Walking to Nagato was Yusuke. What's your name? Yusuke inquired. Nagato Uzumaki. Stated Nagato. Yusuke's eyes strayed to the spears behind him. You know, energy transmitters? Although I'm not sure how, he might be able to free you. According to Yusuke, Demi landed. With his gaze fixed on the spears, Demi approached Nagato. Can you get him loose? Yusuke inquired. Yes, this means that the spears will need medical attention. Shut your eyes. Demi stated. Nagato shut his eyelids. The material encasing Nagato's hands was then cut away by Demi using energy spears. Nagato was set free in a matter of seconds. Falling onto Yusuke's back was Nagato. Thank you, but as long as I have these rods, he can use my power. Stated Nagato. Demi said something. Until the antidote is given, he will be out. Can you carry him, Yusuke? Demi inquired. He isn't heavy, yes. Are you going to pick up that bag of shit immediately? Said Yusuke. Indeed. We will be gathering at the intersection. Demi remarked as she grabbed Pain's foot and pulled him. We? As he carried Nagato, Yusuke spoke. Demi grinned. Yes, Riska sent someone to Konoha too. Scare them? Demi stated. Who? Exclaimed Yusuke. Minato Namikaze, Demi stated. Nagato uttered words. Is my sister's spouse still alive? How? Stated Nagato. So, you are Kushina's younger brother. Demi stated. Indeed. After Uzu was destroyed, our father split us up. The scumbag there killed my friend and brainwashed his wife Konan while I was traveling to Konoha. I intended to get back together with her, stated Nagato. Demi grinned as they got closer to the intersection. Minato was standing by to greet them. Have funny? Demi made a joke. Yes, I did also leave a few surprises. Furthermore, who is the boy? Minato inquired. My name is Yusuke. Naruto's father must be you. Said Yusuke. Yes. And that's it, Nagato? Minato inquired. Nagato stated, in the flesh. Minato gave him a look. What happened? Minato inquired. He was told by Nagato how Hanzo had forced him, Konan, and Yahiko into a brawl that resulted in Yahiko's death and Konan's serious injuries. Konan found himself under a Justu. Hanzion then went on to control him by combining his powers with Toba's. Minato gave a headshake. People who crave power are the reason why the East Basin has declined so much. Maybe we can find the happiness we're looking for in the West. Minato stated. Gazing at Minato, Nagato's purple eyes widened. Do you think they will allow one such as myself after all that I did? Stated Nagato. Demi said something. You'll discover that second chances are granted in the West. The past is irreversible, but the future is malleable. Demi stated. Nagato believed that this was his genuine calling, and he would seize any opportunity to prove he deserved it. Yusuke was grabbed by Minato, and Demi's arms were harmed to the west. Secret Cavern. Report. Hanzo has lost the battle. One man said, his recruits have either escaped or been killed. Tobi and Zetsu? About neither of them, at all. Zetsu was reportedly severely injured in combat and transplanted. Tobi is no longer in sight. Kisame and Itachi ran away. Konan is thought to be dead and missing. It is confirmed that Deidara, Sasori, and Kakazu are dead. The man said, Hidan is said to have been taken by Jashin himself. At the rear of the cave stood a figure with concealed features. Well, the Gedo statue? I sent some men to see how it was doing. The man stated, they ought to report back on time. The figure gave a grunt. Excellent, I'll assemble my own ranked outlaws and accomplish my objective. But I'll exercise more caution. The dream is still attainable as long as the Gedo remains, the figure declared. Sir, what if by some twist of fate the Gedo statue has been destroyed? The man inquired. The figure gave the man a scowl. The figure replied, then we will rebuild it. A man was perched atop the Gedo statue in a valley. He was awaiting word to finish his assignment. To be honest, he was eager to finish it. A bird suddenly dropped a message into his beak. It's finished. Finish the task at hand and head back. The message stated. Grinning broadly, the man placed his hands on the statue and began to speak. Let what is seen now be hidden with diamond and stone captured in time never to be seen again. The man began to chant. The Gedo turned into a massive diamond encircled by rock laced with diamonds. The man leapt from the statue onto a flying house. The statue's face continued to be covered in stone and diamonds as the man grinned. It is finished. Calcifer, let's head west, the man uttered. It is complete heading home. Howl. Howl penned a letter to the bird. The bird took off and flew away. As soon as Howl disappeared from view, a group of ninjas arrived at the clearing and noticed that the Gedo had transformed into a mountain. One nin asked, what do we tell the boss? Hanzo told a falsehood. This place is devoid of statues. Foolish person. As they departed, the nin said. A bird reported the response by taking off westward. West. Hanzo was thrown to the ninja's feet. Riska ordered Yusuke to take Nagato inside the medical tent right away. Hanzo paled as he looked up. Pale skin, purple eyes, and dark purple hair. It could only be one individual. So you know me? Riska inquired. Nami's acid breath user, Riska Namikaze. I believe that everyone in Nami died except for him. Said Hanzo. Riska grenaded a chilly, menacing grin. No, a few people survived. It's not like you and your allies took much care. You are, nevertheless, the more approachable. Said Riska. Hanzo gave a growl. Have I touched someone? Do you really believe that I'm going to murder you? Riska inquired. Hanzo answered, yes. I'm not. You won't die. You will pay for your transgressions. You will pay 100-fold for all the suffering and deaths you have brought about. Said Riska. Hanzo scowled at her. Then he noticed Naruto. So you're the bastard from Kyuubi. That shouldn't surprise me. Perhaps I should bring that up with your friends over here. Stated Hankso. Naruto bursts out laughing. Inform them. They are already aware. I informed myself. I trust people who stand by me in spite of that, unlike you. They made the decision to fight alongside me. Friends do just that. You are merely the dirt that has been scraped from my shoes. Said Naruto. Hanzo believed that everyone would turn against Naruto. However, Riska gave him a glaring cold stare. Who told you about Naruto and Kyuubi? Who introduced you to Kyuubi and Naruto? The entire group gave Hanzo a chilly look. He noticed Jiraiya amidst them. Well, the Sannin are no more. The others came after the snake Sannin. HMPH. Said Hanzo. His shirt was grabbed by a hand, which raised him. In a moment, Hanzo's icy blue eyes met his. Riska spoke just as Minato had grabbed him and was ready to strike. Minato, no. Hanzo is taught to resist all forms of ninjutsu. Someone who will make him sing like a canary is coming over. Said Riska. Minato let go of Hanzo. When Hanzo attempted to flee, he was engulfed in webbing. You have no intention of leaving. These threads ought to support you. Said Rui. Demi was ordered by Riska to throw Hanzo inside a tent that was secured with unique seals to keep him out. Oro? It appears that we overlooked something. A voice said. Yes, it appears that way. However, it might be for the best. Someone else said something. Me. We apologize for being late. A different voice said. Riska faced the assembly. To the camp had arrived Kenshin, Aoshi, Sanosuke, Kaoru, Yahiko, Shinobu, Giyu, Muchiro, Gyome, Obanai, and Mistori. Riska grinned. Don't worry. Now that the village is secure. Said Riska. Everyone in the group introduced themselves. Kenshin started scanning the area. He noticed a long-haired redhead standing close by. Is that possible? Kenshin pondered. Kushina? Said Kenshin. Kushina turned to look at Kenshin, her cousin. Kenshin. You two made it through. Kushina gave him a hug and said, Oro? Too? Said Kenshin. Kenshin was informed about Nagato and Naruto by Kushina. Kenshin grinned. Fantastic. Shanks is still alive, too, said Kenshin. Shanks, my brother. Shanks, my big brother. Stated Kushina. Obviously. When the attack occurred, he was not at sea. However, he is currently at sea. I hope he gets home soon, said Kenshin. Kushina joyfully leapt up. Tsunade left the medical tent with a bitter look on her face. What is it? Riska inquired. Nagato is connected to those spears through his body. He dies if I make even one mistake. But there's a force holding them there. The scalpel would not cut through the skin when I tried to cut it. I need someone with experience handling these challenging removals. Stated Tsunade. Riska grinned. Hanzo might have been using his power at that time. Hanzo won't suffer any harm until those spears are taken out. I would rather not jeopardize a life. I'll track down someone who can get rid of them. Said Riska. The group gave a nod and moved away. Riska turned to see Toguro and Sakio following her. Toguro, do you think that Genkei could remove the bars? Riska inquired. She can, indeed. Spirit bars are those. When he was first brought to camp, I felt them. Would you like us to go retrieve her? Toguro inquired. Riska pondered for a while. No, I really sent Kuwabara here a few days ago after asking her to come. She ought to be here shortly. Said Riska. I was wondering where my goofy brother in law was. Stated Sakio. Riska grinned. Watching the young nins was Toguro. After receiving the right instruction, they could use taijutsu effortlessly. Why don't you go over and help them, Togito? Stated Sakio. Mr. Sakio. Go ahead. You'll grow bored, and I have other things to talk to Lady Riska about. In addition, I believe the council would be very helpful to them. Stated Sakio. Toguro turned to face the group after giving a nod. Sakio and Riska then take a seat. So who is going to question Hanzo? When Konoha Minato came, the Guild of Merchants was content. At last, a few uncommon items arrived. A lower-class nin named Hangu was circling the warehouse. What a fox brat. He ought to have been put to death. Causing this whole mess. Said Hangu. A flash of light suddenly drew his attention. How come? Hangu pondered. He was facing a man wearing a fox mask, but Hangu recognized him. Hattie. A ghost. Hangu let out a scream. Minato let out a chilly chuckle. Hangu bolted for the door. When others entered the warehouse, they found nothing. Hangu, have you had any alcohol? There is nothing present. Someone stated. Hangu said, Ghost. Ghost. The others gave a headshake. A fat merchant was strolling outside when he noticed a man wearing the fourth Hokage cloak and masked like a flaming fox. Ghost! Exclaimed the vendor. As the ghost approached, the man let himself out. Absolutely revolting. Konoha has descended into a corrupt wasteland, and I died to rescue it. The only people spared are the innocent. Ghost said. The businessman passed out. Haunt? Minato, ghosts cannot use chakra. A voice said. Minato looked to see who had spoken. Hiyashi emerged from behind the shadows. Hopefully, Hiyashi won't tell anyone. This is way too enjoyable. Minato stated. Not at all. I am aware of the profound corruption. The seeds of corruption are found even in my own clan. Some even wish to track down my kids and bring them back to serve as breeding stock. I regret not accompanying them. Despite the pressure on Sume to give Hana up for breeding, she is holding out hope that a miracle will occur. A few of the Hyuga branches are equally awful. Danzo is still breathing, too. Stated Hiyashi. Minato gave a nod. I'm going after him next. Why don't you turn against me and go? Minato inquired. A few of us desire to. The majority of parents of those banished do desire to depart. They desire to see their kids once more, stated Hiyashi. Minato grinned. After that, go. Head west. Minato stated. Hiyashi gave him a glance. The west? Yes, I will discuss this with the others. Go scare the shit out of Danzo now. I will, Minato stated. Minato departed and Hiyashi grinned. The time has come to move. Hiyashi pondered. Minato was within Danzo's residence. When Minato was out and about, Danzo was fast asleep. Then Minato saw an eye-filled jar. Keki Genkei's eyes. And he was fully aware of everything. His rage was starting to show. Grabbing the eyes, he used one of his seals to close the jar. Then he turned to face Danzo, who was asleep. He created a tailed fox with blood streaming from its jaws using his chakra. Danzo, Danzo. Awaken. Minato let out a roar. Danzo was startled awake. There in his room, he saw the fox monster. No. Naruto is banished. Said Danzo. Vengeance is what I'm here for. Remember my words? Burn, you will burn. The fox mentioned vanishing. At the released key, Danzo went to the bathroom. The experiments he had been working on behind his back started to burn. No, my work. Danzo spoke as the jars burst and exploded, spraying chemicals all over Danzo's body and face. Danzo gave the fox a fierce look, but the space was silent and dark. It was just the jars that were gone. The house is free of burn marks. Upon witnessing the broken jars, Danzo winced. Then he retched after smelling the chemicals combined with his own waste. He quickly showered, cleaned, and ventilated his room. He's not getting any sleep tonight. At the intersection, Minato was waiting with the jar fastened. Why did Danzo have those eyes, and whose are they? Minato pondered. The others soon followed, and they left for home. Land in the north. Scum, keep going at it. Put in as much work as it hurts. One man yelled to a group of soldiers undergoing training, work for your masters. Another man grinned. After all, time was his virtue, and the work would once more submit to him. Mountain Stronghold. The Dog King was over his captivity. He was going to rip the chains off the wall and rip apart everyone who got in his way very soon. In order to maximize his power, he had to wait for the full moon. He also promised to never lose his partner or kids again after he was set free. West. Everyone was occupied with training, aiding in medical procedures, or going hunting. Riska felt a chill creep up on her as she gathered herbs. When she spun around, she noticed an explosive tag. As soon as the explosion happened, she leapt away. She was pelted with rocks, but otherwise unharmed. It appears that this chick has a little fight left in her. If we bring her body back, the master will be happy. A single voice said. Riska was aware that there would be more explosions. 20. Nins came tumbling down. This is not the same group. They are an Iwa group. Riska spoke as she got ready to battle. The leader attempted to make some hand signals, but when his hands were severed, he was stopped. Huh. What the hell? With the leader's face buried in the ground, one Nin yelled. Hiei was taking a risk. We don't like it when you attack us for not reason, said Hiei. A Nin laughed. You anticipate assistance from others. Additionally, they are being attacked, said the Nin. Riska grinned. Well then, more for us, said Riska. You two are planning to go on this together? That is absurd. A Nin sneered. It would seem that these Nins have no sensing abilities that it would. A voice said. Kenshin entered the space. Suddenly, the Nins started to perspire. In the west, Kenshin Uzumaki was referred to as Badasai. In a single blow, his sword had the power to kill 5 men. Though rattled, the Nins remained unfazed. The Hyuga girls are coming with us. We should own them. A single ninja charged with a roar. Riska took out her staff and began to block. While the others held off Hiei and Kenshin, the Nin charged Riska. The Nin moved closer to the woman, laughing. In his mind, she was the least strong. Grinning, the Nin approached Riska. Riska whirled her staff, ready for battle. Riska smiled as he drew closer to her. I got you. Acid breath, sands of ice, said Riska. The Nin was taken aback. Acid breath, he wondered. Then Riska exhaled an acid cloud that covered the Nin's arms and legs. The Nin's arms and legs were extremely cold. I'm stuck here, the Nin thought. Riska stood by and watched him go limp. The rest was handled by Hiei and Kenshin, who killed them. Kenshin cast Riska a glance. This person is a detainee. Let's head over to check on the others, said Riska. Unable to move, the frozen Nin stared straight ahead. With a long broadsword in his right hand, Naruto stood in the center, and the 3 of them hurried to join the others. It hummed with strength and had a golden color. The others were shocked. Riska smiled. Lady, that blade? Said Hiei. Hiei, that blade is.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.